Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Anzio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Dig deep. Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik for the touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, here we go. One note today. It is the first time since we began this show in April, maybe even well before that. Did you guys realize what alarm did not go off today?
Yeah, it's your 3 o'clock alarm.
Yeah. I have alarms to remind myself of something I have to do the next day.
No,
I have them in my computer.
Not in April of 2020. In what month did you start working with me? In
June
2010? And since June of 2010, this is the first time I've been in a room with Smokey at 2:57 p.m. It's a 2:57.
2:57 alarm.
2:57 alarm.
And our show has started at 3 every year since I can remember.
Yeah, we've done a couple of special ones, I'm sure, as you know, but throughout the years in radio, we've had to do, one day we had to do 8 to 10 in the morning before an NCAA tournament in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We've had to do that to adjust with what's going on in the world. But today, and even then, sitting next to Smokey in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the pit at 2:57 p.m., his alarm went off.
Yeah, 2:57. And it was always, kind of a motivational thing that I put in my alarm. I've deleted it. I feel naked. But I have to. I can forget sitting I could forget here, 2:57, get up and walk to my car.
What's that?
But not today.
What do you call that thing on your wrist?
A watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that all I do, 3:03, I got to go get something out of my car. Let's go to the grocery store. So I've done that really. Now, when I'm out, I always just put it in neutral or just don't have it on. All right, so here we are. I made it. I'm here. There is no 2:57 alarm. And so that's a first today. Secondly, Brandon Rowe came back. Brandon, of course, joined us when Emory went up to Oklahoma City and does a lot of work for us. Garrett runs the mothership. But yesterday, basically, they threw the kid in the water at the swimming pool and just said swim. And Brandon was paddling now. But and he's a brilliant young man. And I wish we could put a microphone on him because it was overwhelming. And no different than when Garrett did it the first time. Jiu-jitsu, I don't know. He kind of makes things up as we go anyway. But Brandon, it's great to see you. I had people texting me last night that I was hard on you, and they wondered if you'd come back today. I thought, Paul, you've seen me when I.
That was not hard.
I will tell you.
No,
he got it late.
I got it. He's a sweet young man. Okay. Emory, of course, was like a child, and Brandon, one of these days, we might claim him too.
How many of the hosts in this room have made a female member of our staff cry in a press box?
I did. I did. Casey Hartman.
Let me ask you, when you realized what you'd done, just so people know that you're not a hopeless, desperate tyrant.
Oh,
I just want them to know the great side of Smokey. How big did you feel about 2 seconds after you realized what you'd done?
Well, I mean, first of all, she accepted the job, so she should understand. Yeah, I did, because they were flying down her cheeks. Yeah. And
it's not like, look, she accepted the job. It's not like you're a soldier. It's like, hey, man, I don't know what you're complaining about the bullets.
Yeah, I know. I know. But I did. And we became pretty good friends. Haven't seen Casey. Sometimes I'll see her at HEB and she runs away from me because she usually doesn't have her makeup on. All right, now, the Doak Walker Award list, the watch list, we had that stretch of a lot of them. There's an image. UT has 2 players. They're not the only one. But Cedric Baxter and, of course, Waco. He actually was at Mejia, which is a little bit further away from us. And then Waco, then he went to DeSoto High School. Both of them on the watch list. And I'm telling you, Trey Wisner last year with UT having their running back issues with injuries, he was a godsend for them. And how they use them, if Baxter stays healthy, Trey Wisner on there. Baylor's Bryson Washington, another one that is on the watch list. I got a letter, and we're going to kind of go over some of the history of the Doak Walker Award in just a moment. But this is from Walter Commander. He does a lot of work for Franklin High School, which is where Bryson Washington attended his school. And he does a lot with their stats. He sends me summaries during the weekend. I truly believe my boy Bryson Washington from little old Franklin is going to have a great year if he can stay healthy. I've watched this young man since he was in junior high, smart, physical, fast, and most of all, coachable. From a great family that is all about their faith. I have done Franklin football for 19 years. This will be my 20th, and believe me, he is the best football player I have seen come through Franklin, and says a lot about him, and he's also excited for the possibilities for Bryson Washington. Thank you, Walter, for that letter.
There are a lot of people, and I saw it even more today, like some people bumped their tweets that they had said, hey, watch out for Bryson Washington this year from Baylor. And one of the best things, I know that a lot of people might think this is counterintuitive to that, but I think one of the best things for Bryson Washington is that he is going to have substantial time off compared to other, just like Wisner and Baxter.
Right.
They're going to have a chance to they don't have to be 30 carry a game backs. They can each be 15 to 18 carry a game backs, and you kind of ride the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Baylor's offense worked last year with Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass was very situational in that they kind of plugged him in for different things. And I know that it seems like, oh, how can he be better if there's another guy back there? But they feel good whoever's in the backfield, and Bryson is the lead dog of that duo. But I do think that helps him a lot because he doesn't have to, say he's struggling for a minute and they've got him, kind of wrapped up. Well, you can throw Dawson in, he can get a couple first downs, you can reset, and then he can go in and he can see it. Like it's a gift, I think, when you have that.
Yeah, no, and they have others. Who's the freshman from Oklahoma that's coming in? That Caden something. I can't think of his name.
Okay. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Very,
very. Also have Micah Gifford back there,
and Micah Gifford, but he had 28 carries a couple of times, 26 once. Twice went over 100 yards. Remember, he had a concussion against LSU when they were moving the ball. Both teams, of course, at will, and he got knocked out of that game, had just 5 carries, and didn't even play the first couple of games. So that's it. I brought him up, and it's not even because of where we are with the Baylor situation, which is a mile from here, but just a note because of the letter I received over the weekend. Meanwhile, which school, 2 of them, have had the most Doak Walker Award winners, not on the watch list, but winners. And by the way, the Big 12 is very heavily representative, as everybody else around the country when it comes to the watch list.
I'm going to say Texas.
That is 1.
And Ohio State.
They're not, no, they've never had more than 1.
Okay.
And it was Eddie George, who, of course, was a guest on our show. Garrett, you got a guess?
I was thinking Oklahoma. They've had a ton of running backs.
Oh,
yeah, you know what? My God, they've never had a Doak Walker. Now, remember, the Doak Walker did not start until 1990. So this doesn't go back into the 50s and the 40s.
So you're telling me that there was a year
they've had 9 Heismans in that time.
That there were a bunch of guys in a room.
Adrian Peterson.
And Adrian Peterson did not win the Doak Walker.
No, he did not.
Oh, my gosh.
No, he did not. During that, no, he did not. Okay, so Wisconsin has had 5.
Oh, yeah.
They've had Ron Dane. He won it. They also had Monty Ball, who ran for 400 yards against Nebraska like everybody else did. And Jonathan Taylor has also, and Melvin Gordon. Man, those were, and all of them ran for 300-plus yards at least once when they played against Nebraska. Alabama has had 3. Texas Tech early on. How about get the guns up? Because early on they had Bam Morris from Cooper High School. Byron Bam Morris was the 4th overall winner, and then Byron Hanspard. We've had Byron. His son played defensive back for a while. Incredible young man, and Byron Jr. Hanspard also. UTs are Ricky Williams twice, Cedric Benson, Deontay Freeman. Remember, he had that one monstrous year, and then Bijan just 3 years ago. Bijan Robinson also. Arkansas's had 2. Who were they?
Darren McFadden.
Both times. Yep, he went back-to-back. He went back-to-back. Ricky Williams went back-to-back. And Jonathan Taylor also went back-to-back. Other Big 12 teams that have had a Doak Walker. Again, this is one of the younger awards. It's kind of like even younger than the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. I mentioned Bam Morris. I mentioned Byron Hanspard. Ricky Williams, of course, was in the Big 12 at the time. No, yeah, he was. LaDainian Tomlinson was not in the Big 12 at TCU. I'm not sure if that was a Mountain West or if that was wherever they were at that particular time. I'm looking for how about Trevor Cobb from Rice is on this list? Oklahoma State's Ollie Gordon 2 years ago. Also, I thank God I mentioned that, or my goodness, wet blanket would be all over me like a wet blanket. All right, Ross Dellinger with this story about the NCAA, the Board of Governance, poised to approve the new governance model. And basically what this is there are 24 people who can vote. 24 is on the board. 24 can vote. They need 2/3 majority. I have not checked on this because I have been running around with my head cut off today. And what it does, it streamlines. Okay, think about what they're saying they're going to do here. Streamlines governance, reducing committees. Please, God, do that. They have committees to decide who's going to be on other committees. It drives me nuts. And the A4 leagues, which is the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, and Big 12, have historic levels of voting power. 65% of all votes they get. They control 2/3 of the votes.
Yeah, it looks much more like the board of a company.
Yes,
now,
yes,
right? Like they're running it like a big Fortune 500, which it really is. I mean, that's what you need to approach it as, especially now that you have more people coming from that world into running it. They're going to run it in the way that they know it. So if you're talking about governance and you're talking about Tony Petitti and Brett Yormark being two of those guys, well, what world did they come from?
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Greg Sankey and Jim Phillips, who each come from athletics, Yormark and Petitti come from the world of business and marketing and all those other things. So, and look, Greg Sankey, I'm sure Jim Phillips might be a little uncomfortable with this because he is like the last true conference commissioner of those four that's up through the way like that, as where Greg Sankey was kind of the right-hand man to Mike Slive and all of that.
He ran the Southland Conference.
Yeah, he ran the Southland Conference.
That's when I remember him many years ago.
So he knew all that. But Greg Sankey, just based on hearing him talk, that dude's comfortable in a boardroom.
Yeah,
He's not going to be.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
More and more of these conference commissioners have that experience, so I'm not surprised. But it is going to be you've got to hope that having that 35%, if you're not in the A4, that's allowed 35%.
No question.
That you make sure that you are, so that they don't. And look, I do think that ultimately there is, they're all the conference commissioners are at least some form of Darth Vader, right? Where they're just kind of marching forward with their goal. And I really do like Brett Yormark, and I like him, but again, he still has this goal of the Big 12, the Big 12, the Big 12. I do think that there is shreds of good in most of them, where if you are allowed enough minority, they will be like, okay, well, let's not just completely run them over.
Yeah, you're like the dog that keeps barking. But
you have to
you have to eventually.
And I think that's important. I think the Big 12 and the ACC need to be allowed a minority of the four in sticking up themselves. But I do think that they need to make sure that 35% that's not, make sure you're loud. Make sure because if you give them any opportunity to just roll right on past you, they've already shown they're going to do it.
They've already tried to, basically. Yeah. Paxton brought up, who was the Oregon running back? It was 15 years ago, LaMichael James, who was fantastic. I covered him when he was in high school at Old Liberty Ilo High School. Hell of a school. Won a couple of state titles back in the day.
How many has A&M won? Have they won one ever?
The Doak Walker?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
The Doak Walker.
Guess who? Okay. Name, in your opinion, you could do this in the chat, Paul, Garrett, Brandon's muzzled. Name a school that has been known, again, this is 1990 and later, but name a school that has had a great history, Heisman Trophy winners or not, at the running back position.
LSU.
Yeah, LSU.
Nobody.
Bama.
It's rigged.
Yeah, no, Bama's had 3.
Okay.
Bama's had Najee Harris, they had Derrick Henry and Trent Richardson, all after Nick Saban arrived.
Yeah, I would take Leonard Fournette over any of them.
Who?
I'm sorry. I'm taking Leonard Fournette over any of those Alabama running backs.
Okay.
Especially in college.
What year, though?
Yeah.
What year?
Give me probably his junior year. I would have been. I can't remember the exact date.
Find the year, and I'll tell you. Okay. USC.
Yeah.
Reggie Bush in 05. That's it. Again, they still now. My school, the University of Stephen F. Austin, Nacogdoches, Stanford of the north or southeast. No, I'm kidding. Nebraska has had a ton of great running backs.
2015.
Nobody.
For Leonard Fournette.
2015 would have been Derrick Henry.
Oh, man, that's a
bigger, better ass.
Hey, guess who has more Super Bowls, though?
Yep. No, that's right.
Playoff Lenny.
Exactly.
That's right. All right, so there we are. Oh, there's one other note I want. I love little nuggets like this. I love nuggets. Not McDonald's. I used to eat those. Every once in a while I get, if I'm flying back and I've been out of town, here we go with my attention deficit here. I'll stop in Italy, which is spelled Italy, but it's pronounced Italy, which is about what? Just south of Waxahachie, maybe 50 minutes from Waco on the north side of 35. And I'll stop late at night. My God. And don't stop. And I'll stop at that McDonald's and I'll get myself a 10-piece McNugget. And it's always with the hot mustard. I love that. I like hot mustard on egg rolls, dumplings. All right. So the ACC, Paul, your conference, 17 teams in the league. They had 17 running backs make the Doak Walker Award list. 2 of them, Louisville and Syracuse. But here's an interesting twist. 2 without reps from the ACC are Cal, because all their running backs left, and Clemson, who's the league favorite, like overwhelming league favorite. It's just a little. Those are nuggets.
Clemson's going to have young people that not play that much at running back because their last 2 studs are gone.
Yep.
Will Shipley 2 years ago, and then Phil Maffa, who's with the Cowboys now. They're both in the NFC East, by the way. Will Shipley is about to be the number 2 back in Philly, and I think he's going to do very well in that offense. And I'll hate it. But Phil Maffa might wind up being the Cowboys kind of goal line guy. That's his specialty. Look, Phil, if you want to compare, when I talked about the running backs,
isn't he the one that represents Micah Parsons? Phil Maffa?
That's Mulcatta. But Clemson, when they had Shipley and Phil Maffa, if you need 5 yards, Will Shipley can maybe get you 25 yards.
No, yeah.
If you need 5 yards, Phil Maffa's going to get you 5 yards.
He's going to get you 5 yards.
And he might break a couple every now and again, but he's a knock you over kind of.
Yeah, hit you in the what. All right, somebody mentioned Stanford, and they had Bryce Love, 2017, and before that, Toby Gerhart back in 2000.
Toby Gerhart.
Yeah. Did he ever do anything in the NFL?
No.
Okay. Now,
neither did Bryce Love, but they're both.
Didn't Love have an injury? Yeah, both of them.
Pretty severe injury.
Now, by the way, Dan Wetzel today will join us at 3:40. Shahan Jararaja today at 4, and then we have Dion Amade. Wet Blanket's not in here today. I am. We're done. He and I have a love-hate relationship anyway. Former safety, linebacker, special teams phenom, and team captain at Oklahoma State. He's now a part of the pregame and postgame for Cowboys Pokes Radio. Oklahoma State Radio. He'll join us today at 5. We'll have Hall of Famer John McClain, Paul's Top 5, and Andrew is dialing up his polls. He's already put one of them in there.
By the way, my top 5 for the next 5 shows is my top 25.
Oh, okay.
And I like to follow the Brando method. I don't just write down names of schools that I think are going to be good. I really looked at the rosters and how they built them, and I have a team in there that is in nobody's rankings, and I've got them pretty high. So I think I would do Brando proud. As a matter of fact, when it's all done, we're gonna make a graphic.
He's on with us tomorrow. Why don't you guys kind of compare notes?
Yeah. So I hope he'll be proud of me based on what I did, because I really like when he puts his out. I think he does a top 10. He doesn't need to go 25. But when he puts his top 10 out, he puts a lot more thought into it than I think a lot of people do, because he goes, okay, well, who's on the roster?
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't just go with the names, the logos. I got to tell you, we're hard on the voters, and some of them, our guest, Brett McMurphy, was on. He was honest about his poll. I think we all –
But he does the same thing, though, if you look at his.
But I think if it's easy as a fan, when it's an All-American team or a watch list or a winner of an award or top 5, whatever, that you go immediately looking for your school. And if they're pretty good or the player's pretty good, like, oh, my God. And, we have rules. Okay, that's fine who comes off. But I think a lot of us would absolutely fold like a cheap tent if we had to do the top 25
every week.
And every week your top 25 would question whether or not you are a superficial human being for being an absolute homer.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, you have
and there's nothing wrong with being a homer. Paul is one. Garrett is one. I'm the only one honest about my program.
No, I think I think one of the things I think we all 4 of us in this room are far too negative at times about our program.
No, but we've been
we are.
Oh, what's the guy over there wearing his hat? What's his name?
Brandon?
Garrett. No,
Andrew.
Garrett is very honest, but he has no reason to be. They've won 2 national titles.
It's not enough.
3 since Saban. Saban, Les Miles, and Orgeron, right?
Oh, yeah.
God. All right. Rich Rod. He's going to be fun, man. He's already fun. There was a story that was out, a lawsuit with 4 players who I believe want to go to West Virginia.
Yeah.
And they're suing this is about what? The House settlement, the transfer and eligibility and all of that. When Rich Rodriguez was told about this, he said, outstanding.
Well,
outstanding.
You know why? Because he knows they're probably going to win.
Yes.
And the thing is, if they lose, well, congratulations, NCAA. You guys, you know what? You don't get a fancy steak dinner.
They're due for one. You can
go, but if they do win a lawsuit, I think they should get to go to a mid-range steakhouse. I mean, they don't need it like nothing like Burn Steakhouse in Tampa or Mickey Mantle's or something like that, but a nice, good chain restaurant that can get a nice $27 ribeye.
Yeah, a bone in.
Yeah, that's what you get.
My friend Corbett Boone was up there the other day, and I think he was there for some sort of a medicine doctor, whatever deal. He sent me a picture at the bar at Mickey Mantle's Steakhouse. And I blocked his number. Now, this is an audio clip from our good friend. He's been a part of the show many times, Brandon Marcello. When you hear now, and there's a little bit of this momentum, and why it took so long, I don't know. Maybe in the end, way things run around laws and regulations and whatever else, it may not happen. But this more and more about collective bargaining. Here is Brandon Marcello from and why this is not as easy as we may think.
Very impossible for them to get all together and go, hey, we have one union for 5,000 football athletes and one union for this for men's basketball and women's basketball. You're probably going to have to break it up into tiers. Say you have a union for the SEC, you have a union for the Big Ten, et cetera, something along those lines to help with collective bargaining. But again, you need some organization there. You also have to consider that unlike professional sports, there's such a high turnover rate with so many players, thousands of players every year. They're only there on campus for 4 years, maybe 5 years at most. And so when you look at leadership, players who can represent you and speak for you, they're going to be there only a few years, and then it's on to the next. So it's very hard to kind of keep some consistency there. Also, let's face it, these players and athletes, they have a lot going on in their lives. They have football, basketball, whatever, but also schoolwork, other obligations with their NIL, and also they're just younger. Not a lot of them are teenagers are sitting there going, well, I need to have this meeting to discuss these business practices and figure out what we need to be doing with workload and revenue sharing. That's just a very hard thing to be asking of these teenagers, and it's something that is going to be very difficult, to be quite honest, to really get an organic galvanization here of these players to represent themselves and say, we want to be at the table negotiating.
All right, what are your thoughts, Paul?
Well, here's the thing. The first thing that needs to happen for this to be smoother is we need to do the Cody Campbell plan of everybody negotiates the media rights together, because then the union and the leaders are negotiating over the same thing, like everybody across the board in every conference, whether you're in the Mountain West or the SEC, you're negotiating across the board for whatever your slice of that pie is. And look, if you're a Mountain West player compared to an SEC player, yeah, the distribution is different, right? And the value of that is different. Negotiating across the board, if everybody makes more money, then that's good. I think that makes it simpler if you get that done. This is not something, and when I constantly talk about the CBA, I know it's not something that they can just decide, hey, let's do it. But I do know that these things take time, and I think it's almost like twice, like when you pour a little bit of time out of that hourglass, it's like twice as much every time you keep pushing the ball back and pushing the ball back, because what you do is the more you say, well, we're not going to do this now. We'll do this when we figure the lawsuits out. Why don't you do this so the lawsuits stop? So if you start down this road, maybe you can stop all these things and you can meet in a middle point of, okay, let's get here. So they've got to start down the road and they've got to start doing these things, and they're probably eventually going to need some congressional protection. The problem with that is that our Congress sucks. So they need to move through this and get it done, because Congress works a whole lot better in its current format when you can walk up to them and say, here, this is the thing. Do that. Everybody's in agreement. You know, you guys run it through your committees and all those things, have your little grandstanding, but at the end of the day, just pass that. That's the way it works now, sadly enough. So if they can get to that point, the college leaders and whatever unions you have, which is a basketball players union for men and women and a football players union that has different, tiers to it and all that. If you can start down the road and get that done in the next several years, then in the next decade, we can have a reasonable discussion about these things and we can show that they're working towards them. But we live in the, in the instant society, right? Well, let's have a union tomorrow. Well, I mean, you got to get, approved by the NLRB. You've got all these things to do, but you can't start on that until both sides in earnest are willing to say, this is what we need to do. And that's what has to happen first.
In the chat room, Go Black 45 said no to Cody. Kim, of course, wanted to know why. Let me see. There was one other note here as well. There's one more person that made a comment. Make them employees with 4 to 5 years of eligibility. There's no question that a lot of the problems that today we have in college athletics with eligibility and more, transfer portal and more, is if the clock starts and you have 5 years, you go to 5 schools.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get that passed.
I think that they will. Again, you have to you have to start down the path of determining what these things are. And look, and let me tell you this, I will say, look, if you're saying no to Cody Campbell because he's up there at the White House behind President Trump and you don't like President Trump, I understand. I get that part. But I will tell you, and look, Smokey and I are on the opposite side of that issue completely, and we get along fine. But I had that assumption about Cody Campbell as well, that is kind of what he wanted. I don't think that's fair to paint him like that. We had a very good discussion with him about that. He laid out the plan. This is not, I know that people want to paint him as, I'm a billionaire, my favorite thing is Texas Tech, and I'm just going to do things to help Texas Tech because that's my toy. That is absolutely not what he is. And it was unfair of me or anyone to paint him with that brush mentally or whatever before you listen to him say it. So I wouldn't, don't put everybody in all one box. I don't think that that's fair.
I think a lot of people thought, because they hear about all the millions and all the NIL, which he's not the only one. Believe me, there are others that are doing that for Tech, that he's the big brash Texan who wears a Cowboys hat. Not at all. Drives a big damn dually, wears jeans like Sidney Sweeney, and not quite. But you know what I mean? That he was the big loud Texan, like in Landman or something like that. And he's part of that. He's not. He is as unassuming a person as you could ever imagine for someone that's worth whatever he wants to say he is.
And here's the other thing. We had him on and he said, yeah, I've got to go catch a flight. And it was confusing to us because we were like, I mean, doesn't the flight wait for you?
Yeah.
Couldn't you just call them and be like, hey, it's going to be 2:30 instead of 2:15?
Yeah.
But again, because he's a gentleman, he's like, I told them I'd be there at 2:15, so I need to be there at 2:15. Yep. And there are a lot of people in his position that are like, no, you will wait on that tarmac until I get there. I know that maybe we may be paying him romantically, here and saying it's all great, but I do think that when you hear him talk about it, it is not just about helping Texas Tech. No. It is about the long-term future of college athletics, and really, it has less to do with football, which is his sport, than it does with the non-revenue in Olympic sports.
Yeah.
It's more about that and using football and basketball as the mechanism to help everybody.
From Kim, when you make them employees, you bring in the FICA, Social Security, health insurance, and maybe even pension obligations as well from Go Black. Don't make them employees. Do like the Doctors Guild does. Be independent contractors. Don't get full legal protections like a union, but you get more wiggle room.
Well, whatever they need to do so that they can collectively bargain is what they need to do. Because otherwise, it's just going to be all it's going to take is one little individual misstep to create a whole thing, right? The O'Bannon lawsuit wasn't just about, it wound up being about a lot of things, but it was, hey, let's put Ed O'Bannon on a video game. And then you decided that seems like a little decision of using a photograph in your marketing, but it turned into a big thing. Let's introduce NIL. And then as these guys' eligibility runs out, they're going to say, well, JUCO and NCAA are two different things. And then you're like, yeah, but before we didn't look at it that way. And you go to the court and the court goes, well, the way it's written, they are two different things. So you put the court doesn't determine things by the way that you want them to be. They determine them by the way that you've built them. And so that's where they kind of run into the walls.
Go Black mentioned the Screen Actors Guild. One of the things that Kim in response said that they are a union. The Screen Actors Guild is a union. Remember, they struck 7 months ago. But then we got down, as soon as we get into this stuff, it just takes us away from having fun with a lot of what's called college football, but it's a part. Craig would have already walked off the set by now. Now, Craig has brought this up. We've all brought up Taylen Green, Arkansas. Dan Wetzel just around the corner from ESPN. Connor O'Gara, another guest and friend of the show, put this out here today. This is not to punch holes in Taylen Green. He's a hell of a player. But he said, why is he not getting much preseason love? No touchdown passes against teams who finished ranked. Hurt at the end of the Tennessee win. All new pass catchers on his roster. Led the SEC with 12 fumbles. I did not know that.
Yeah,
Remember, who was the guy that Nebraska had that could not stop fumbling?
Adrian Martinez. 10 turnover-worthy plays when clean. Tools, yes, but a work in progress. Great talent, has the skill set, has the tools, but still it remains to be seen.
Well, Adrian Martinez is a good comp to him. They have very similar skill sets as dual threat quarterbacks, and he runs a lot like Adrian Martinez does, where, look, when you're a super athlete and you get out there and you start feeling that breeze and running, sometimes you forget that the ball's in your hand or that you need to hold it tighter.
His fumbles were nauseating.
Well, and his weren't always if you get lit up and fumble, okay, that's physics.
Yeah.
If you are, that's all I know it's all physics, but that's just you lost the physics battle. If you are just fumbling, because Adrian Martinez's fumbles weren't, I'm diving over and they knocked the ball out in a desperate play. I'm running out of bounds to get a first down, but I dropped the ball on my way across the line.
No. And his came at the most damning times. Last thing on the unions and all that from Kim. He goes, listen, I'm not generally in favor of unions, but I'm not sure there's a better or fair alternative for both parties when the sport enjoys antitrust exemptions.
I think that that you have to look at every industry differently. Some industries need a union. Some industries don't really need a union. When it comes to sports, I think it's pretty well proven out that you need a union. I think I
don't know enough about it, but it does seem like with the way the NFL Players Association and the NFL have theirs, I remember we used from the very beginning when NIL came out in the transfer portal guardrails. Yeah. And some said we were being racist for whatever reason because we brought it up. No, I just think that when you have rules and you abide by them, it's better for everybody.
You have to protect. Yeah. You have to protect yourself from yourself.
Sometimes
you have to You have to get protection from others. And look, when you're talking about all the people who have all the money giving it to you and giving them guidelines to negotiate with, guardrails are good for everybody.
Yes,
that's why That's why we have traffic laws.
Yes,
I mean that's what we need. They just need traffic laws.
Last one, and then we come back with Dan Wetzel. This is from Kim, who's on the opposite spectrum of you when it comes to so. Smoak, mother of God. Paul and I have agreed. All right, we got a break. Dan Wetzel, Shahan Jeyarajah. We'll have Bruce Feldman. We'll go over his freaks list he does every year, which is a fantastic segment or article. Top 25 quarterbacks the last 25 years. And there will be some debate on that. We'll have that. Dion Amati, Oklahoma State, part of their pregame and postgame show, and former defensive back and team captain at OSU with Mike Gundy and more. This is 365 Sports.
It's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Right now at Berg Colgan Ford, we're bringing you an offer that's as big as America. Employee pricing for everyone. You pay what they pay. That means you drive home a new Ford F-150, Bronco Sport, Expedition, Super Duty. From America, for America. Employee pricing for everyone at BK Ford. Looking to sell your vehicle? Get top dollar for yours today. Don't miss out. Employee pricing is available for a limited time. Visit us anytime at bkford.com. Experience better at BK Ford.
I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Dan Wetzel, ESPN senior writer, author, and more. And one of our great guests that we have on 365 Sports joins us for today's show. And Dan, thank you very much. Craig's on vacation, Paul here, and I'm here as well. Hey, I want to do this because I know you have been against this, and we have too. What were your thoughts a day or two ago when Dan Gavitt released that they would not be expanding the tournament at least for one more year? Was there enough blowback to push this back a little bit?
I certainly think it's helped the blowback. The question I keep asking is who wants this?
Yeah.
No one.
No one. Just some coaches who, job security to make the tournament or, that's really it. There isn't a lot of money in it, if any. Those first, what they would basically do is, you guys know, there's the first 4 right now on Tuesday and Wednesday. There's 2 doubleheaders. Those games get, 2 million, maybe 3 million people watch on TV. Depends, if you get a Carolina or something in it. But for the most part, not good ratings. Fine, but there's not like this $100 million or something. So they want to add basically 6 games each day. They want to have 6 games on each day. They want to add 8 games. And so it's not like this is big TV property where you say, okay, here's all this money. When only a couple million people are watching, it's not like the fans are fired up and saying, we want more, right? Obviously, if everyone was just in love with the idea of these early pre-tournament games, there'd be 5, 7, 10 million. I'd be like, okay, I get it. There's no fan demand. There's not a lot of money. It's a really big logistical ask. You basically have to set up 2 new sites. You got to fly people right after the selection Sunday. It's that many teams that they're in the NCAA basketball tournament, but are they? Going to Dayton on a Tuesday night is not the same as getting to go play in a big NBA city or a dome, and you get to, you're at there's 8 teams there, and there's Duke's there or Kentucky. You get to see, if you're just in it. So it's not even really the NCAA basketball tournament. It's this extra thing. There's not fan demand. There's not a ton of money. There's not. They've tried to cook this number, and the NCAA Division I, it's expanded from, can't remember their number, but 310 teams to 360. But most of those teams that have joined are all former D2s and D3s that joined really low-level one-bid leagues. So at the end of the day, the same number of teams from the major conferences are making the basketball tournament. It's not like they've been knocked out. You get in if you're decent. I mean, they had 14 of the 16 SEC teams made it last year. So there's just really no reason to do it. And I think the fact that there's been a lot of pushback and very little sentiment of like, what are we doing here? And I think you run the risk of losing the magic of that first 2 days of the real tournament, Thursday and Friday. And you confuse fans and you make it harder to set up an office bracket. The little quirky things that make the NCAA basketball tournament really this like slice of Americana that cuts through, right? You don't have to pay any attention you can be at every game or you can be at no game and you can still fill out the bracket. And that's the magic of this thing. And so why risk that? So I think a lot of the pushback is actually helped.
I look at the way that they look at it. I think about the Coney Island, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Look, Joey Chestnut's amazing. And every year I want to see if he can get to 80 hot dogs. That'd be awesome. But also I do know that the more hot dogs that he eats, the less good they taste. So, I don't think that that's a good thing for the NCAA. You can only have so many before you're like, I'm overstuffed. This is ridiculous, right?
Right. Because you're asking the hardcore fan to watch 6 straight. Okay, first off, the hardcore fan is already watching championship weekend, right, before, and then selection Sunday. And then by Tuesday, you're dialed in all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like another 6 days. That's a lot of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of basketball. And here's the other thing about access to the event. We already basically have every team in the country is in a play-in opportunity to get into the NCAA tournament because all you got to do is win your conference tournament, right? So the week before, we basically have these regional play-in things anyway. You could have a 5-win team and you can win the Sun Belt and you're in. You're a 16 seed, but you're in. So we already have all these options, and yeah, there's too much there. I didn't think of the Nathan's hot dog part, but that's a good one. I may steal it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of basketball, man. At some point, just like, okay, I've seen enough. I don't like the Tuesday, Wednesday now. I wish they go back to 64. I like it's noon, it's Thursday, everyone's fired up. It is a date on the national sports holiday. You own 2 days of the calendar, and that is really rare for a sport. You want that. And you want to be excited for that noon. And it's like, all right, I'm watching at work. I'm watching on my phone. I'm a kid at school sneaking, to watch. I'm taking the day off. I'm whatever. That's a magical moment. You give that up by just saying, oh yeah, we're also going to do it Tuesday and Wednesday.
And of the teams they add, whether it's 4 or 8, will all of them be a power conference edition?
I mean, I would say if they add 8 more, it's going to be like 7 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
6 of the 8. It's not. There's always going to be somebody left out that you can argue. They could do that if they go to 256 teams. Someone's going to be like, well, we were the better 6-win team. I mean, there's always somebody. But look, you got all season. Again, you just had a conference tournament. You could have made a statement. You could have played your way in.
Mm-hmm.
I think like why, and I've never gotten a good answer on why, other than it's something to do.
Dan Wetzel, ESPN, with us on 365 Sports.
Dan, everybody's releasing their polls right now. I'm doing one, for content and all that stuff, and the coaches release theirs. What do you think about the viability of polls? And it is very difficult to do now based on the way that everybody used to do them because the rosters changed so much.
Yeah, they were bad. They were pretty bad before. They're like impossible now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just. We were just doing the college game day pod, Brace Davis and I, and we got to West Virginia. West Virginia has a new coach, Rich Rodriguez, new coaching staff, 52 transfers, 24 high school or JUCO recruits. So they got 76 new players and a new coaching staff. Go ahead and tell me whether they're going to be any good.
Mm-hmm.
I got no idea. and neither does Rich Rodriguez. So that's the extreme. But how do you do this? It's not the same when you're getting guys back. I mean, you can look and you're like, okay, I like Texas a lot. Texas is probably a very viable number one choice. How good is Arch Manning? I don't know. He's only played a few games. He's never been a full-time starter. Is he as good as we think he is? Is he good as he projects? If so, they're going to be great. If not, maybe they're not number one. So it's always been hard. Here's the thing. It's not as important. It was never really important. It's really not as important because you can get into you don't have to be perfect. You won't get boxed out of the playoff. We used to have those years where it's like a third team was undefeated, right? I think it was the year LSU, USC, all that. You could be undefeated and get boxed out, and you kind of needed that preseason hype. Now it's really about how well are you playing at the end of the year. The AP poll, it's great promotion, great historical data. It's a great idea. I mean, they did this thing in 1933. You want to know how absurd it is? Imagine how accurate those polls were.
Jeez.
There was no TV, right? So you were just you're getting like the Telegraph scores, scores off the Telegraph or something. I go, oh, that Oklahoma one. Some guy in like a newspaper in New York, like, okay, how would you even know? So it's always been a bit of a farce, but I don't think it's not as important, but it's certainly harder now than ever before. Everybody has got key newcomers at key positions. Even the Texas, even the Oklahoma, and the Ohio States and the Penn States, whoever's in your top five are counting on newcomers that we've either not seen play or saw play at a different place, or you just don't know. So I think they're less important, but we got nothing else to talk about. Right?
Dan, I'm sure you travel to cover games during the season. I'm not sure if you ever just watch from home or somewhere else where you're traveling.
I do.
Okay. How do you consume games when you are perhaps, if let's say you travel to Ohio State, Texas, or Alabama, Florida State, whatever game it might be, and there's others. How much do you consume now games by YouTube TV, streaming, or by regular TV cable?
So I travel to fewer games than I used to. When you're traveling, it's really hard. I mean, it just is. You can't. When you're home, you can watch as much as anybody else. This is why I don't vote in polls, because I really don't know. I'm not really. It's not my thing. And I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful to the players and the coaches that are putting all this effort in for me to be like, oh, I didn't notice that. There was a late score. I didn't see how good that team played because I didn't have the right cable package on my phone. Whatever. So. I don't do it. I don't vote, but when I'm home, I try to watch as many games as I can. But I also, my kid's got a soccer game or so, I'm going to that. I'm not one of these guys dialed in for 14 hours trying to watch 7 screens or anything like that at the same time. But then that's not necessarily what I have to do either. That's not my job.
Right. Dan Wetzel with us on 365 Sports. You did, and you have made comments about the NFL Players Association, David White, the interim, and what a mess that is. How did they get to that point?
Yeah, they've had some. They've not had great leadership the last couple of years, and it hasn't really mattered. But they're going to have a collective bargaining after for a new season in 2031, which is approaching. So they've got some time to get their organization set. But the NFL is, hell bent on 18 games and trying to cut the amount of revenue that the players get. I get most fans don't really care what the players end up getting. They do pretty well. As labor union movements go, pro athletes don't get a whole lot of sympathy, even in football, where we know there is a price to pay beyond the thing. But if you're an NFL player, I'm a believer. They need to stop hiring people that want to be on TV and the perks of being the NFLPA president. And if I'm in a union, I want someone who's used to being in, really negotiating in a union. I want some guy from the Teamsters or something like that who's like more about fighting the NFL owners and really caring about the principles of labor than someone who, what they've hired lately is a lot of guys who used to work in management and now are coming over to labor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. You kind of got to know what side of the team, what team you're on. You got to be willing to burn all the bridges with owners and not sit there and say, hey, if I go easy here, when my term is done, someone will hire me. Because you're going against the NFL. These are the most powerful businesses and conglomerates in the country, right? I mean, if you're trying to work in corporate America and you anger all of the NFL owners, that could hurt you. So I think they've kind of lost their way a little as a union, but I get fans don't really care either.
Dan Wetzel with us on 365 Sports. Well,
Dan, is but it's got to be troubling for the NFL players what's gone on with the leadership there, in that they had these guys. It was very political getting them appointed. Actually, one of the biggest voices against them is a guy we've known since he was in high school, Kelvin Beachum. Spoke out on how there was some shady stuff going on. It's got I know that the normal fans don't care that the players might be getting slightly less money, but also nobody wants to see people get screwed, though.
I wouldn't think so. And it's certainly important. I think that sports leagues work best when both labor and management are doing well. When you can strike a fair deal, and certainly, the players. I don't know how you root for the billionaires either, but generally the public will. But Jerry Jones is going to be all right. If he's got to give up an extra $100 million here or there in salary, it's not going to really change his life. Those franchises always go up. So there's a lot of bit there. But yeah, the way the hiring went, who they hired, how they conducted themselves, it's been pretty bad the last 5 years. I think the key is getting it settled before they go into this next negotiation, or they're going to end up with an 18-game schedule, and they're going to get even less they get about 48% of revenue right now. There's a million tricks to how they calculate it. There's $1 billion here. We take this $1 billion. Is that revenue? I mean, it's very, very complicated, as you'd imagine, but it could go below 48% and add a game. That's not a good deal for the players. So the one thing about NFL players, they earn it. There's no coasting in that. You just get hurt. And even the guys even long careers are short in the NFL. For every Tom Brady, there's 2,000 guys that'll make it 3 years. So maybe more. And you give an awful lot. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But if the union doesn't get their act together the next 2 years or so, they're not going to be set up well for this next negotiation.
Dan, last question for me, if you don't mind. You've written books. You have that Epic Athlete series. Caitlin Clark was one you mentioned back in May, and, of course, the story she's been. You've written columns. You've done investigative pieces. You've been a part of the Netflix documentary with Aaron Hernandez as an executive producer. All of what you've done, what is the most favorite part of what you've done?
It's really meeting people. I don't know if this is a little. It's kind of just getting to know people and having them let you tell their story. Whether that's a famous player in a moment, it could just be a game column, but they share with you, what it meant, what it felt like to hit the winning kick or miss the winning kick. To longer stories about athletes or coaches or different experiences. Just getting to know so many people around the country. That's really the best part. Yep. It's just it's about telling the stories in different ways. Sometimes it's 750 words right after a game, and sometimes it's a multi-part Netflix doc or something something on ESPN that way. It could be a little bit of anything or a podcast or whatever. So, but it's really about the people you meet. And I imagine that's pretty similar for you guys.
Yeah, it is. I had a daughter of someone who was a huge Baylor fan, but actually the connection goes back to when I worked at East Texas for a long time in Tyler, and he passed away. She sent me a text, met me, And we sat there and talked for an hour about her father, who used to call my old talk show back in the day, and how it meant, what it meant to him, and also how it meant to the family as well. And that's like, my God, that's great, the relationships and the memories and stories that we can share. Thanks for your time. Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, that means more than some game or whatever. Yeah, that's amazing. So,
Absolutely.
thanks for having me.
Thank
Always
you,
fun
buddy.
to be on.
Dan, thank you very much. ESPN senior writer Dan Wetzel with us. Shahan Jararaja will join us in the next segment. Also today, the Bruce Feldman Freaks list from theathletic.com, the 101 Freaks, and we're going to list a lot of those names. A list from Brian Fisher, who put together, which is like, going in, you're going to get battered. It would be like going into a car wash and you slip off of the whatever that would be to keep your car online. You're going to get battered because not everybody and most people will not agree with you, because that's an impossible list to put together, but he did. And we're going to give you that a little bit later on and much more. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor alumni fan engagement with Doug Furch. In fact, I had Corey, one of the owners of What We Do, reach out to me because of some ideas that they have for pregame shows that they're going to cover during the football season, and wanted to know where some former players were going to be at the various locations when Baylor is out of town. Well, Doug Furch is who you reach out to. Also, David Wetzel, who's a part of the Baylor Letter Winners, and every university Letter Winners Association, every university has that. But that's what they do. And when they're on the road, they'll set up tailgating. The game at SMU, there's going to be at the Bush Library, the museum, and on top, it's the museum up at SMU in the campus. And then on top of that, what they do for every home game, events and entertainment and more. So that's where you go at every school across the land, this particular place with Baylor Alumni Fan Engagement.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
365 Sports as we hit the 4 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, John Talty, who wrote an article about general managers and more, he'll join us tomorrow. And here is Shahan Jayaraja from CBS Sports as well. He joins us on 365 Sports. Shahan, I saw the note. I saw the quote from James Blanchard about the transfer portal and NIL and more. And if anyone didn't see that note, I have it right here. There's a picture of James Blanchard. Texas Tech GM James Blanchard on underpaid elite recruits. If somebody is underpaying an elite guy, only paying him $100,000 to $200,000, I'm going to give him $300,000 to $400,000 and go steal somebody. Now, the reactions, as you know, are all over the place. And you had a few reactions and thoughts about it yourself.
Yeah, well, I think that people are kind of looking at what Texas Tech is doing and thinking that they're maybe doing something untoward or under the table. But here's the reality, right? And obviously, I've had many conversations with people around that program over the offseason. They're trying to be aggressive, and they're trying to find a strategy that no one else is really employing. And when you talk about that quote from James Blanchard, they believe that there is untapped potential in the recruiting marketplace. Of course, Felix Ojo was kind of their headliner, signing a big money deal as a high school recruit. They're also looking at another player in the class of 2027, a defensive lineman that they have connections to. And they believe that high school recruits in many cases are undervalued. There are a lot of players there's a lot of programs rather that are going to use their money aggressively for players in the transfer portal, maybe to retain guys on their roster. Well, Texas Tech wants to kind of have a different approach. They want to build from the ground up, and they believe, look, if we get a guy on campus as a freshman with a maybe slightly inflated deal, it'll actually save us money in the long term and create a good deal for us.
Yeah, and look, now that things are moving in the direction of maybe some multi-year contracts, like that's where you get them in. Now, I don't know, like, again, without collective bargaining and all these different things, but it's for a school like Texas Tech. I mean, their whole thing, you were there for a long time. It was, why not us? Like, I get that people may be a little uncomfortable with what they're doing, but how else are they supposed to make a stamp if they just say, well, we've always just been who we are? We're just going to be who we are.
And here's the thing exactly, right, is that when you are Texas Tech, and let's take a step back. If we're in a situation where every single program only can offer the same amount of money to every single player, well, that's a disadvantage for a program like Texas Tech that does not have the same level of history, the same reputation of coaches, all this sort of stuff, right? So what Texas Tech and programs like it kind of have to do is they have to be unique and they have to be aggressive. And you mentioned the idea, for example, of multi-year contracts. On the Felix Ojo deal, I've heard it's a 3-year, essentially guaranteed contract. Now, not at the number that was reported, but at a very high number. As opposed to when I spoke to Steve Sarkisian at the Texas High School Coach Association back in July, he said, we really aren't guaranteeing any multi-year deals because it's a bad situation for us. We have to lock into a multi-year deal with them. There's no guarantee that a player will have to be enforced a multi-year deal with us. So it's essentially a one-way contract in that sense. And the deal, too, when you sign a freshman high school recruit to a multi-year contract is, look, if you get, Arch Manning, if you get one of the elite players in the sport and they deliver elite results, then that's a fantastic deal. The issue is, if you look at the history of recruiting, there are plenty of players who were even top 5 to 10 recruits who didn't pan out. And let's say, for example, that you give $800,000 to an offensive line prospect for 3 years, and that guy doesn't end up being a starter for you. Well, that's $800,000 a year of a $20.5 million cap across your athletic department that all of a sudden is dead money. And nobody at this point has really had to manage dead money to that point. Again, it's a risk we're taking for some programs, but it's also a different way of doing things than especially some of the big boys.
Yeah, and it's something that if you don't hit, like you said, it's dead money if they were to put this thing together correctly. But are they unlimited in how much right now because they're on this roll? And I think it's great somebody from the Big 12 is actually making noise because everybody else, they're all about the same. You know, all these teams are about the same, the programs, et cetera. Is there a drawback to this? What could go wrong, if anything? That they have a bunch of overpaid players that can't play?
Yeah, I mean, look, think about it in terms of NFL. Think about it in terms of NBA. If you sign Bradley Beal to a $60 million contract and the cap is 110, well, all of a sudden it's like you are in a really, really tough situation for trying to build a roster around them. And so ultimately, again, if you put that much money towards one player, they have to deliver. When you're in the NFL and you sign a player to, let's say, 10% of your salary cap, it's because they are a proven commodity. And when you look at a lot of the players that are being prioritized in the transfer portal as well, a lot of them are guys who we already know are good college football players. Even if you want to look at quarterbacks like John Mateer, Darian Mensah, a linebacker like David Bailey, this is an investment in somebody who has never played college football before that could potentially hamstring you if this player doesn't work out. And by the way, let's even put to the side the idea of just player not panning out. What if a player gets hurt? What if a player misses 2/3 of the season and he takes up $1 million of your payroll? That's something that you're going to have to reckon with. So for every bit of upside that there is, there's a lot more downside than people realize as well.
Shahan, Texas is number one and in many preseason polls, including the coaches poll. Why is that justified, or why is it not justified?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't realize this as somebody who knows Texas as well as anybody. They have never been number one in the preseason polls until this year. Like, that is just unbelievable to think about. But, I do think it is justified. But I will say also, this is one of the toughest years that I've ever had trying to nail down a number one team, because every single team that's contending, and there, by the way, are 6 or 7 teams that I think have a very reasonable chance and a very reasonable case for being number one. All of them have flaws, right? I mean, because it's not just Texas. Texas has to replace their entire offensive line. They've got a new quarterback. They've got to replace a lot of their best players in the secondary. Georgia, right? Georgia is replacing a whole lot of talent. Notre Dame's got a new quarterback coming in. Penn State hasn't necessarily had the success at receiver that they need to have. Oregon is replacing the vast majority of their talent. So, you go down and down the list, and there isn't, to me, a consensus number one team. By the way, Ohio State also, they're replacing their entire defense, stacked with players who are playing in the NFL right now. So, there isn't an obvious team to be consensus number one. I think that Texas is as good a choice as any for a couple of reasons. One, defensively, they lose some guys on the back end, but on the front end, they should have the best front seven in all of college football. Anthony Hill at linebacker, Colin Simmons at edge rusher, I think, is going to be a first-team All-American this year. You get C.J. Baxter back at running back, and they do bring back at least 2 players on the offensive line. And by the way, that doesn't even get into that Arch Manning conversation. So I think that this is a team that you have a lot of faith in. They're the only team in college football over the last 2 years to be in the national semifinals each of the past 2 seasons. And this is a culmination year in so many ways. So again, lots of teams that I think there are lots of teams that deserve conversation for number one, but I think that Texas is a pretty worthy choice to be number one.
I think the only thing that you never know, because sometimes who you play, even if it appears to be one of those teams that's kind of in the middle, you never know when somebody's a little bit better or you just have a bad day. They've been in a pretty good run. They have been There's been a couple of games, like the Kansas State game. Remember the last year they were in the Big 12? Wasn't it the Kansas State game when overtime when they were inside like the UT 5 and David, Will Howard just like threw up all over himself. But they happen to look at what Sark has done from his story personally, which is an incredible success story. But they were lost in a wilderness. And it doesn't mean that he just waved a magical wand, but it's kind of remarkable what he's actually done at a place that was underachieving for almost a decade or so.
Well, look, and let's look at, the last year or two, right? Like, yes, they didn't win the national championship. They kind of messed up opportunities in their national semifinals games, but we're able at this point, because of what he's built, to call it kind of disappointing that they only played in the national semifinals each of the last 2 seasons. So I think that they've done such a great job, and Steve Sarkisian deserves a lot of credit for that. He obviously has brought 2 former #1 overall quarterback recruits to campus, and Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. I think that he's done a great job of building a staff, keeping them happy, keeping them on campus. And I also give a lot of credit, though, to their athletic department and Chris Del Conte. I think that they did a fantastic job of being ahead of the curve when it was time to institute things like NIL and transfer portal. I think that right now they are the model for every other program in college football, with the way that they've built through the trenches, the way that they've retained talent, the way they've identified and recruited talent. Also, by the way, yes, this is the first year that they're #1 in the preseason polls. They also just put together their first ever #1 recruiting class in the modern recruiting era. So, this is a program that, while they may or may not win a national championship next year and the year after, they are right now the model for how you build a college football program in this era.
Shahan, I have maintained on Ohio State that I don't think they're going to be bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that they could have a dip that's unlike their normal dips, in that they've lost so much, including coaches, that if you told me that they wound up 9-3 or 8-4, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. And I would still be like, yeah, but then next year they're going to be 10-2 or 11-1 again.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation for them, right? Because they bring back maybe the 2 best players in all of college football in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, and almost everything else around them is different. Brand new faces on the offensive line, completely revamped defensive line. They had to bring in some transfers to shore up the running back position. They've got a first-year quarterback, most likely Julian Sayin. So, and also, by the way, new coordinators as well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. A big difference going from Jim Knowles to, of all people, Matt Patricia. That was reminded to me the other day, which is a strange one. But I do think that, this is a team from a talent perspective, of course, that should contend with anybody. But the fact that they open the year against preseason #1 Texas on their home field, I think that it's going to be a little bit of a growing process for them, like you mentioned. And they play enough games on their schedule this year, especially with that non-conference game, that, yeah, it could look a little lesser than what it's been in years past. Now, at Ohio State, I think that probably means 9-3 is kind of like their mediocre season and maybe still on the doorstep of the college football playoff. But this is as big a transition as we've seen there in a little while. And it's going to kind of be up to, hey, is Jeremiah Smith, is Carnell Tate, is Caleb Downs, are they able to step up to the challenge and really swing some of these games?
Shahan, okay, I'm going to give you the magic wand in college football. You take over for one day, and you can only make one decision, but you hope that that decision is the one that cures a lot of the ailments in the game. What would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that I don't have to talk to, the president or to Congress or to any of these other people to try to figure this thing out.
Whatever you decide, other than I know you want your alma mater to win the national title, but you get to fix the game. Yes. And I know that it might be unrealistic, but how would you do it?
I would make contracts binding. And what I mean by that is, I don't think that it's a good thing for the sport if players are allowed to transfer without penalty every single year. Now, there's a couple different ways to do that, right? I think that you could have, sort of a version of the sit out for a year if you transfer situation. I think you could have the idea of paying a buyout, and maybe the new school has to pay a buyout. That's how it works, for example, in European soccer with transfer fees. But I think that this idea that essentially at any moment players can leave penalty free, and it's only college football programs that are held to contracts. I just don't think that that's how any of this is made to work. You look around the world and at sports, right? Like there are no other sports where ultimately players are perpetual free agents where they can play. I was doing a story on Zach Calzada, the former Texas A&M quarterback now at Kentucky. And I was looking back, Lindsey Scott was his predecessor at Incarnate Word. He played at 5 schools in 7 years. Like, who is that really serving at a certain point to have somebody who's allowed to play at that many different stops? And, again, I think that like it was before, if you go down a level to FCS, sure, loosen up those requirements if you just want to go and play. But I think that we should have more clear, defined ways to prevent player movement, not eliminate it. It's important to have some level of player movement, especially, by the way, I mean, look, I was a college student once, and there were times that I thought about, transferring just for my own situations, right? And I think that you should absolutely have the ability to have opportunities to do that. But the idea of constant movement, constant churn, constant breaking of contracts, I think is just something long-term that a sport cannot survive.
I agree with you on that. That would be a huge move because it could help at least calm down some of the badness.
Well, I mean, and part of it, look, is, Smoak and we talk about this all the time. You're not going to get better at 5 schools. You're not going to get better. Like you're not establishing any kind of real routines. Just like if you were a college student and, it's not like you're going to 3 colleges over 20 years and getting a degree. And then I'm going to go back and get my master's. And then you say, you know what? I think I've always wanted to chase that MBA, or whatever. Like I'm changing my career or whatever that you do. You're just working towards maybe one or a degree in 5 years and chasing for, $50,000 here, $50,000 there. If you're going to 5 schools in 5 years or 7 years, whatever, you're not making life-changing money either. So you're not really helping yourself out, except in the short term of like, oh, here's $45,000. All right, great. I'm not going to say no to it, but also it wouldn't make me change my mind if I'm already in a spot where I'm making $300. If they said $345, I'm like, well, I've been here for a year and I think I'm doing pretty good. I think some of that's kind of silly.
Well, and I think that one thing, and this is certainly not anybody's top priority when they're a college student, but like you kind of lose any connection to a place when you transfer that much, right? Because, just use myself, for example, right? Like I went to Baylor, and so I still have relationships at Baylor. I still take, my daughter to Baylor. We still go back, right? Like we are part of that community to a certain extent. And while that it certainly is not top of mind when you're 21 or 22, that is something that I think is really lost in the process when you just don't have a place in the community to go back to. I think of a player like Vince Young, right? Vince Young, of course, he goes to the NFL, things don't really work out for him, but he's been taken care of in so many ways by the University of Texas because he's of that. And it doesn't even necessarily matter all that much if you end your career with success there. But I think that it just hurts guys' legacies at times whenever you just kind of move on and when you kind of just don't have much regard for that. Maybe, again, like you mentioned, for a short-term payday. Like I remember covering one receiver who was at a Texas school, and he ended up leaving for a major SEC opportunity, completely fell out of the rotation there, transferred again, didn't really do a whole lot after that, and his career was kind of over. And so, one, he didn't develop as much as a player, even though he was a potential NFL prospect. 2, he doesn't get to be mentioned among some of the guys who were part of the success of that moment. And 3, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you played at 3 different places. And now what? Now, you'll try out obviously for NFL teams, but like, maybe you're just working at a car rental place after that, and you kind of don't have any place, right? Like that's the story of way more of these guys than even, hey, well, he left for $700,000 here, 1.1 there. Like most of these guys ultimately are going to be more lost after that process than found.
No question about it. And you're right about, even if you're a star player, if in fact you get into business after your career is over, NFL or not, alums will help you. They will either hire you or they will find a way to get you through a bad time financially or whatever. You're right. That's part. I want to turn around from what you said about if you transfer 2, 3, 4 times, whatever. I think fans are sick of that too. I think I know for a fact I had somebody that's a huge college football fan that says they are disconnected entering this year because they don't know the players and they're not around long enough to get to really want to know them.
Well, and it's bad in football. I think it's substantially worse
basketball.
In college basketball.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was having a conversation. Obviously, I still follow Baylor very closely, and it's like the thing that was so frustrating about last season. Yeah, the team not being great, whatever. That's not that big a deal. VJ Edgecombe being, aside. But it's that, okay, well, it kind of was a disappointing season. Then you return 0 guys and you have a whole new roster this year. It kind of makes the whole last season feel like a waste of time in some ways. And, so again, it's even like, okay, well, this year, the hope certainly is, well, maybe there are guys who grow and develop, and then in 26, you have a better team, and in 27, but like, maybe all of them will be gone again next year too. Like, you have no idea if you even have the right and ability to build relationships with players. And, I was very lucky, right? I was at Baylor from 2012 to 2016 on the football field. I got to see guys like Shock Linwood and Corey Coleman, who were my year, go from being freshmen to being fantastic players. I got to see Rico Gathers and Torian Prince on the basketball court every single year of my college career. Like, I know that that's not the case for everybody, but I just can't imagine having not had any of that as a fan.
Yeah. Shahan, go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just agreeing with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And look, we can deal with free agency in pro sports because at least most of the time you get multiple years out of a guy before you have to say goodbye. It's not just, oh my God, we got the number 1 quarterback in the country. Awesome. And then it's, wait, he didn't even play yet.
In the NFL, if you sign somebody that doesn't play well, you can cut him. There are consequences, though, because of the cap, as you mentioned about other things as well. And, there you have consequences for either a really good signing or a bad one. And in college right now, there may be some, but at least that guy's making $1.4 million, and it's a 4-year deal.
Well, and I think you can plan is the biggest part of this, right? Like, when you draft, for example, I'm a Bears fan, you draft a quarterback, you're probably getting 4 years with them, right? If you have a good player, a Brian Urlacher, guy, Devin Hester, guy like that, they can stick around. Well, that's not the case in college, and it's never been the case in college, right? Like, this is a short-term turnaround endeavor. And so when that short-term becomes shorter-term, I think it's just really, really hard to build long-term relationships.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you, buddy. What are you working on? Anything you getting ready to, a column series? I mean, I know a lot of people are pushing towards the start of the season here in a couple of 3 weeks.
Yeah, I actually have something coming out tomorrow on essentially in defensive preseason polls. I actually think that they're pretty good, and I'm looking forward to getting into that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of debates about that. Thank you, buddy. Shahan Jararaja with us, CBS Sports with us on Tuesdays in the 4:00 hour. When we come back, Bruce Feldman, theathletic.com with his annual The Freaks list. And we'll kind of touch on some of the names that are familiar, look at some that maybe we didn't know about, all of that. And one of the great writers as we try to get those on that cover college sports, in his case from theathletic.com. Then we will have the top 25, 1 through 25, Brian Fisher ranked the quarterbacks of the last quarter century. You're not going to agree with a lot of them. You're going to wonder, wait, who's missing? I saw a name popped up in the chat room and I looked, he's not in the top 25, and he has an argument, and so does that viewer of ours. We appreciate it. By the way, we don't say this enough. And Paul, it's his fault. Subscribe. If you watch us, we've learned, what was the number? 60-something%. What was the number, Garrett, of those who are viewing? 60-something% of those of you who we consider family, who watch our show as a viewer, have not subscribed to the channel. That doesn't make any sense to me. But again, I watch some things and I'm not subscribed to them, so I get it. You just forget, or you get caught up, or you don't, not consistent. But we'd love for you to do that. Also hit the like button if you possibly can. This is 365 Sports. Don Chumador Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center. It's in Waco, in between Valley Mills and also Richland Drive. I go by there about once every other week. And I need to go by there. I need to take my humidor that I have my cigars in. I have a humidor that probably holds, I want to say 60 or 80 cigars. Maybe 60 to 80. And I need to get it refurbished inside. I need them to do whatever magic they can do. I've noticed that the humidifier, the temperature is varying where it used to just like, it was right there where it needed to be. So I'm going to take it by and let Cheyenne or Joshua do something with it. You could also put those patches or pouches, I think is not patches, but pouches inside your humidor that keeps it at the right humidity. Here's another thing. You can now go to their website and order what they have as far as fresh coffee beans online. Not yet when it comes to cigars. Not yet, but they're getting to that point. They're working on the website to get that done soon. 48-foot walk-in humidor with the best brands of cigars in the world at Don Humidor and Coffee Beans off Valley Mills in Waco.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC. An equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
All right, Bruce Feldman, fantastic writer, columnist, and author. We try to get you all of the various guests that we possibly can. Earlier, Dan Wetzel. There's Shahan Jaraja. Tomorrow, John Talty, among others. We have a former BYU quarterback. We've had Ty Detmer, among others, but former BYU quarterback from back in the day, Riley Nelson, will join us as we have a former player on each day this week, and hopefully next week too. So Bruce Feldman, theathletic.com, he does this every year. The freakiest athletes in college football. The freakiest athletes in college football. And the list came out, I believe it was yesterday. Now, Jeremiah Smith, number one. These are the ones we have of some of the interesting notes based on the Big 12. But Jeremiah Smith is a man-child.
Yes.
He's a man-child. And as a freshman, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 76 catches. He was fantastic in the Ohio State winning the national title. Now, when it comes to the Big 12, we ought to play the music of The Godfather when we yeah. Dante Corleone. We saw him in Frisco.
We were supposed to get him, and we didn't. I don't think we scheduled it. It was on us, not on them.
We had Satterfield.
Yeah.
With all due respect, Scott was probably as good as anybody we had, but we would have had so much fun. And you could have been with one of your brethren, the Italian guy.
Yeah, no. I would be. I love talking to fellow Italians. I love to see Daniel Highshaw on this list. I think that, and he's had some injuries the last couple of years, and I think he has injuries because he runs into people as if they aren't there, and then sometimes collisions hurt, even if you're the guy who's
the wear and tear of it all. Yeah,
the wear and tear of it. But he is. I mean, when you look at Daniel Highshaw, you're looking at a guy in the. I mean, he's certainly in the post Derrick Henry era of this is how we're going to look as a running back, and he is, again, I'm just talking about physique wise, big and strong and fast. And really, if he gets going downhill, you don't want a piece of that. There, again, 3 different Texas Tech players on there, which shows you what they've brought to the roster. Josh Cameron, I want everyone to know this who may not realize this about Josh Cameron. If you're new to the Josh Cameron party, and you're just like, man, that number 34 at Baylor, he's really good. That dude was a walk-on.
Yep.
And when you look at him,
by the way, Mama Cameron, she watches what we do every day. Maybe not every day, but she's on here.
And if you want to,
Andrea,
if you want to see a guy and wonder, like, how did every other coach? And I know it's not every other. I'm sure he had scholarship opportunities at places that were not as big as Baylor. But how does every other coach, just in the Big 12, kind of miss on that? And see it. And part of it is, like high school careers are different. But from the very beginning, when we saw him, get on the roster and then start playing in games as the 4th or 5th wide receiver, you're like, well, this guy's, kind of athletic. He was not a wide receiver right away. He was just kind of an athlete out there doing things. And that's what you like to see from your walk-ons or your raw talents. And he is now developed into one of the better wide receivers in the country and better punt returners. Physically, he does.
All-American punt returner.
Yeah. And you look at him and you're like, how would this guy not be on the freaks list?
And we had him on during Big 12 media days. He was fantastic. Great story. So you have Heisel, you have Cameron, you have the 3 from Tech, Bailey, of course, the Stanford, the transfer from Stanford, outside pass rusher. One of the things that they've done with that defense, and I think it was Alan Makeda who was on the chat earlier about, I know Tech has added a lot to their defense, but I still need to see it, because when was the last time you did? That's the problem. Mahomes could throw for 700 and some yards, or Kingsbury. And it's not that they haven't had teams that could beat people up on defense, but it's just been a long time. But I think they've not just added to add. I think they've added specific pieces where they desperately needed pass rush help. I have Rodriguez, a linebacker, who's fantastic. They had to obviously figure out a way to cover better. In this day and age of college football, if you have a weakness in the secondary, you could be embarrassed. So those are 3 guys that are on the freaks list as well. Arizona State with Clayton Smith. So there we are. Now, here's the list. We're going to go down some of the list. And by the way, some of the best parts about this when it comes to the freaks list is actually some of the stories. For example, go back to Daniel Highshaw. He's 5'10", 220. He's an anvil. He had significant hip injuries when he was younger. He also is somebody that will block your ass off. The pros will love that. He benches 405 and squats 540.
Yeah.
And he has a 43-inch vertical. Here's the problem. If somebody was to put me down on the bench, put the bar up, and put 405 pounds, 200 and whatever on each side, and they, even with a spotter, if they ever let go of the bar, it would cut me in half. Now you're really strong, And on the bench, you've pumped some iron before. But what would you do at 405? Would it go through your chest?
Go through my chest. I maxed out. I know people aren't going to believe this, but my max bench was 335. Like I got up 335 one time. Now I can do when I'm benching. I can start with 225 and stay at 225 pretty long because it's one of my only athletic gifts. And here's the deal. It's here's what God gave me. He did not give me long arms. I cannot reach shit when it's on the top shelf. But
you're such a potty mouth.
But I can throw up a bar from here just to
I've
here.
seen you. It's impressive.
I mean, just pow, pow. Yeah.
If we ran to the car, you wouldn't make it there.
No, gosh, no.
But if we had to if I had to push concrete off of me, if something fell on me, I'm dying.
If a beam falls on top of us, I got it, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just, you know.
Yep.
That's God told me you're going to have this very specific skill.
Dominique Orange of Iowa State, defensive tackle, 6'4", 325. He's a human being, a big one. He spent most of the offseason refining his diet. He benches 450. Squatted 650, cleaned 365, and has a vertical jump. This is a 6'4", 325-pound football player. He vertical jumped nearly 3 feet, 34 inches. To be that big and to have that kind of mobility is kind of frightening. Let's see here. Pick another one. Cincinnati wide receiver Jeff Caldwell. Vertical jump, 36.5 inches. A 1.5 second 10-yard split, 6'4.5", 208. That's I love.
Yeah,
it's nice to have the little beetles that do the slot receivers, like the little Army knives or whatever, the ones that drive you crazy, the Wes Welkers and all those Mamondola, all of them like that. But man, I love tall, angular wide receivers.
Jeff Caldwell was at Lindenwood. Lindenwood had 2 or 3 guys jump up to the Power 5 this year from the portal.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a nice grab for Scott Satterfield here because not only he's not just a guy who, has all these, 6'4", runs the, 1.5, second 10-yard split, like all these things and runs his fast 40. He's got production there to prove it. 93 catches, 1,722 yards and 23 touchdowns. Now that probably drops a little bit in the Big 12, but the fact is he's produced and he's big and strong and fast. And there you go. He broad jumped 11.9. So he also can catch the ball.
Yes.
And so he's not just one of these guys that you're like, well, if we could ever teach him how to play football, he knows how to play football. Now he'll be playing it on a tougher level, but I have no doubt in my mind that Jeff Caldwell is going to be pretty darn good. I mentioned him in the top 5.
You did.
Earlier this year, when I did, the get to know you in the Big 12, the newcomers, he was Cincinnati's number 1. I want to say because I love when you go down. I think if I had an award, a foundation and award, I'm going to name it the Jared Verse Award, which is the best FCS transfer up a level for the year.
Jared Verse was Albany. They played Baylor, remember? And we had no idea. And the next year, he's an All-American at Florida State.
Yeah, and
playing in the NFL.
And now he's a rookie here in the NFL.
Yeah.
And did I send you guys that video of him talking about working out with Aaron Donald?
Yes.
Where he was like,
we had to ask Phil. Well, Phil Bennett has brought up Aaron Donald and how he helped. Was it Billings?
Yeah.
Was it Andrew Billings that... Now, Lenore Sellers is pretty good, right?
You know what? Andrew Billings has once spotted me in the bench press before.
Has he really?
Yeah. And you know what? He was impressed. Although
I don't think Andrew ever knew I could bench press.
Although I will tell you, he was like, "That's good."
Now,
I'll call it cute. That was good and nice.
That's so. Lenore Sellers, a Heisman Trophy candidate, South Carolina, one of the hot schools at the end of the year. He is 6'3", 245. How much body fat percent do you think? What's his percent body fat, you think, Garrett?
Let's go 3%.
Oh, no, it's not that good. 7% body fat. He squats 555. That's a big dude. 22 miles an hour he can hit on the GPS. And, of course, I think he's raw. I think he's just learning maybe himself how good he can be, but also getting the game.
He's built like Tebow, and I don't mean this to slam. He's faster than Tebow. Tebow wasn't necessarily fast. I mean, he wasn't slow.
He would just run through you.
But he was powerful and strong.
Yeah.
Like Lenore Sellers is fast.
Yeah. No, he's a,
Tebow is an athlete.
Every time you think of Tebow, why do I feel like
yeah,
don't you, Garrett? You feel like
he
I
feel
nauseous, honestly.
You feel nauseous.
Yeah, don't remember we share the same level of hatred for Florida.
All right, David
Who
Bailey
was talking about the speech on the plaque the other day, and I had to. Oh, was it Pollock?
I think it was Pollock. Yeah,
Pollock was
up.
doing it. I know that he and Tebow were buddies, and I was just like, man,
Did you lose respect for David?
No, I got it. I mean, like, I can't project. I was just like, he's talking about it, and I was like,
I remember he's talking about the post game when they lost.
Yeah, you're never going to see an ever like that again.
Yeah.
When really what he should have said is, we lost this game because of hubris of our head coach.
Yeah. No.
Because I remember that game, and I'm like, buddy, Urban's not really respecting Mississippi State very much here.
If Tebow played for Florida State, would you have wanted to have a baby with him?
I mean, we already would have had.
Yeah, okay.
But
David Bailey, Texas Tech, at number 43.
Yeah.
Had a great career at Stanford. The highest returning based on Pro Football Focus edge rusher coming back. He benches 405. So this is not just a guy on the edge that can get around the left tackle, but also physically do something. Squatted 550. He has unbelievable speed, hit 22 miles an hour. Mentioned Sellers at 22. This is a defensive lineman, edge rusher, who hit 22.16 miles per hour. And his teammate, Romello Height, is at 21.82 miles per hour. So they got a couple of freakies there with what's going on at Texas Tech, and one of those that's transferred in. All right, there we are with. Hey, Baylor's going to see Auburn, right? Mm-hmm. I just was going down the list. Number 52, Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman single-handedly beat A&M last year.
Yes, he did.
Single-handedly beat them.
He did,
and they had.
Yes, he did.
If you go back, I remember going back and watching a little bit of that game again, because I was like, kind of getting like, hey, A&M beats Auburn, and then this SEC race gets muddy.
Yeah,
right?
how'd that work out?
And then I'm watching, I'm like, I really, especially defensive game plan wise, you got to trust Mike Elko. There's not many better at a defensive game plan. And they had the perfect plan for every other thing that Auburn was doing except Cam Coleman, who was supposed to go there.
Yep.
If you remember, he was committed to A&M and then flipped to Auburn at the end. And that the coaches who had Cam in the fold at A&M, including Elko, just knew that they're like, damn it, we knew it.
Yep.
We knew it. That's why we wanted him here. And I'm sure in the game plan, they're like, he's just as good as we thought he was going to be.
I thought this guy, when Florida started to turn the corner, it was DJ Lagway. But I thought the big back, Jaden Ball, big, thick bucket dumper. What does that mean, Garrett? What's a big, thick bucket dumper?
I don't even want to touch.
He's got a big ass.
What I was thinking.
It means he's got big, strong, and that may, that's just what I've always called it. He didn't get to play a lot, and then all of a sudden, in the end of the year, he started averaging a lot per carry and also did well. A couple of the names, and then we got a break for the quarterbacks. Bigger names that are on this list. I mentioned Sellers, David Bailey, etc. Jaden Knott is number 55 on the freaks list. Let's see here. See if there's a name that jumps out at me that is a big name otherwise you're like, okay, a lot of these are just great stories.
Oh, by the way, also on the freaks list from Auburn, the other wide receiver, Eric Singleton Jr., who transfers from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he's at 73.
Yeah.
Yep, there he is at 73. All right, I think that's Howard Sampson, a transfer, right, from North Carolina. Big, monstrous, 6'8", 335. He's on the list, too. So there we are with some of the names to kind of have fun with that. When we come back, you're about to lose your mind or be really happy. The top 25 quarterbacks since this quarter century. Who's won? How did they go about making these decisions? And you are going to not be happy no matter what. Even if your guys won, you're going to go, well, wait a minute, because you'll overreact to that. That's next. Can't wait to show you the list. This is 365 Sports. And Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. The other day, I was starving here in the studio. It was last week, I think it was. And so I got online to Marco's Pizza, marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it. Fastest growing pizza brand in America. And I ordered a couple of pizzas. And I ordered one. I love thin crust. I don't like the big chewy crust. And by the way, everything's good, but I don't like the big chewy crust. I think when I was younger, I probably did. But I kind of like the thin, crispy crust, and then you put whatever you can on it. And I got the all meat. It was fantastic. All the pepperoni. The Italian sausage was not like the stuff that's like that little beads or balls. It was kind of the real, the flat Italian sausage. I need to find a way to get that at the grocery store when I make my own pizza, because I've got the stone that I put in the oven, heat it up, and I've got the big spatula and much more. But it's fantastic pizza. They have more salads, sandwiches, wings, and of course, you can order online at marcos.com. Call them, they'll deliver. You can go and pick it up as well. Bob Mock owns 5 stores in the Waco area. Fastest growing pizza brand in America, Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
365 Sports will have Dion Amati, former Oklahoma State linebacker, safety, team captain. He'll join us in the next hour. John McClain, Paul's top 5 at Andrews poll results. So, Brian Fisher, I've known Brian before. He's worked at a few of the national, websites, newspapers, etc. And he had his top 25 quarterbacks. And I was like, oh, God, why would any human being want to put themselves through this kind of feedback. Well, here they are on the list. This is welcome to Sports Illustrated's Century Week. This is what all the various outlets are doing. We look back at the past 25 seasons in college football. Top 25 quarterbacks is the one for this day. And the top 25 quarterbacks means, of course, from 2000 to the present. On this list, there is Joe Burrow. And then there's Cam. And it's like, oh, my God, like let's say you're a huge Louisville fan. Like Lamar should be higher. All of that. Manziel with the year that he had in 2000 and what was it, 11 or 12?
It was 12.
Yep. There's a bunch of great names. There's some missing. Jameis Winston, of course, Paul.
He's 11th.
Yep.
He's 11th.
Jaden Daniels from Arizona State is at 15.
Don't do that.
Then, so there we are.
So I have a couple of thoughts. I think Liner is a little too high, but I mean, he also won a ton of games. I have no problem with the top 4. I would maybe put some other guys in the top 5, but Liner won a ton of games. I mean, Johnny Manziel was ridiculous. I mean, he was just one of the most electric football players you were ever going to see. The saddest part of that is it was just so brief. It was just so brief that we got to see that. And at first, when I saw Mariota over Jameis, seeing as Jameis won a national championship and Mariota didn't, I initially said, well, he
like a fan would.
He needs to be over Mariota. And then it occurred to me, Jameis Winston, as you see in this article, even 26-1. Guess who the quarterback was for the 1? Mariota.
Marcus Mariota.
So guess what? I'm gonna pull my fan hat off and give it to him. I initially also thought, here's the other thing I did. My initial reaction was Lamar Jackson at 6 and Jameis at 11. I was like, well, that's bullcrap because Jameis won. And then I realized, like, wait, it's Lamar Jackson. Like, let's not conflate some things because of my fandom. And as much as I love Jameis, if you told me that Lamar Jackson would have come to Florida State, and he's from freaking Florida, so letting him get to Louisville in the first place was a shame for 3 schools, especially the one in Miami. Like that's just shameful that he got up there. But no offense to Louisville, good job for you. So and I really do. There's not who's missing from the list in your opinion, because I could not think of one.
Okay, this is from 2000 to 2024 season. Where's Colt McCoy?
Oh, yeah. You got to put him on there over McKenzie Milton. No offense to McKenzie.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Now, I don't know if you didn't. Okay. Who won the Heisman Trophy in 2001?
Eric Crouch.
Now, he was good in 2000. He was good. But I still think Eric Crouch is better than McKenzie Milton.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to make McKenzie Milton the poster boy
here.
He's
probably better than Alex Smith as well, who's number 16.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of it is, do you win? Mm-hmm. It's not all stats driven, but Colt McCoy did both.
Yeah.
He got a team to a national championship. In 2008, they were in that triple,
and then because he was such a wimp,
tiebreaker.
He's such a wimp and couldn't take a hit from the biggest man I've ever seen.
Yeah, he got tapped on the shoulder. Yeah.
No, I mean he didn't play. Okay, he didn't play in that game in forever. This is in forever, from now until all time. They'll pull it up. Everybody be wearing those like future suits that look like cloaks.
Yep.
Cloaks with like silver rings around them.
Yep.
And there'll be a hologram of Colt McCoy in Austin. And the kids will say, tell us about why Colt McCoy never won a national championship.
Yep.
And they'll say, well, this guy, Marcel Darius, hit him. And had that never happened, Texas would have won the game. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I know that everybody who wears burnt orange believes that if Colt McCoy doesn't get hurt in that game, Texas wins. Because at that point in the game, they were kind of rolling along. Now, that's kind of discounting who they were playing on the other side a little bit.
And you could probably do that with a lot of different people. But he put up massive numbers. When he left college, he was the all-time winningest quarterback. And, oh, by the way, who broke the record? Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
He's not on there.
Kellen Moore is on the list. Kellen Moore's 13th.
Okay, good.
Kellen Moore is 13th. And so, yeah, I'd put Colt McCoy over Alex Smith. I would put Eric Crouch over Alex Smith.
Sam Bradford.
Yeah, Bradford, I think, maybe needs to be mentioned in that.
Graham Harrell.
Oh, man, that's tough. Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
Again, stats is one thing, stats and wins. And
but
again,
Graham Harrell is the best quarterback.
If Colt McCoy's not on there, you're not going to have Graham Harrell.
But like Graham Harrell, like of the Tech's best run was with Graham Harrell.
Okay, who is the best quarterback on earth right now?
Patrick Mahomes.
Now,
not on the list.
He's not on the list either.
He was 5-7 in his last year.
But his teams, they didn't win.
Yeah.
No matter how great he was. And so
he threw for 800 yards in a game and they lost.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. Yeah, I know.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not kidding. I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I can't.
Is Baker Mayfield on here?
Yeah, he's number 7.
He's at number 7.
Deshaun Watson isn't. And he should
Deshaun Watson.
He damn sure.
You think there's a little bit of an asterisk because he was a naughty boy?
Probably.
This shouldn't be. Not when you do these lists. You cannot do this.
You got to have that out.
I mean, Stetson Bennett and Jameis Winston have both had. I mean, Deshaun Watson's are well more. Thought out. But
some of you are coming in with your big, huge colored glasses of whatever school you like the most, and that's fine. Because some schools have developed unbelievable quarterbacks over the year because of the offense that they run. For example, we mentioned Harold Mahomes. Mayfield was Oklahoma, but he's on the list. All right. Some of you are reacting to the list without even looking at the list.
Yeah.
Which I did for a second when I glanced down. So from Rafael Sanchez, if you're going to bring up wins, though, Mackenzie Milton is a big reason that UCF is in the Big 12.
Oh, for sure. Mackenzie Milton deserves to be in that discussion with the Graham Harrells of the world. When it comes to this, I think that and look, here's the other thing. Michael Penix Jr. is on the list. And, yeah, he had some good years, those years at Washington. But do you put Michael Penix Jr. over Colt McCoy? Do you put him over Eric Crouch, who won the Heisman? Eric Crouch, who was the last elite quarterback that played at Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I know that like some of that's recency bias, but Troy Smith, who won the Heisman Trophy, who started right after Eric Crouch's career was over at Nebraska at Ohio State, he's number 23.
Yep.
So I would think that like comps to the era, Carson Palmer's on the list. He very similar, at least career win losses and Heisman Trophy and all that.
I bet if you took this home, whoever you are, and we again love you for watching what we do, or if you're listening, if we asked everyone to take only these 25 names, you can't add anybody to it. We would have probably, if there was 300 people that did it, there would be 250 different algorithms, so to speak.
Yeah, it would be a lot, but I do think that when you look at the top 10, like I may like reorganize it a little bit.
Clarence Banks, no CK7. Who's that? I'm not smart enough to get
Colin
that.
Klein?
Colin Klein. A guy that was a grinder. Somebody said, where's Seth Russell? This is from Chris. he didn't play enough.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has an argument given Bryce Young and Tua on here, but the situation with Tua, I can see why you would put him on, and Baker.
And Kyler, like they're all on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all those, all the Alabama, Oklahoma people are on there.
Wet blanket, Robert Griffin III never beat Oklahoma State. You're right. All right,
They got stroked by Oklahoma State this Heisman year.
No, and A&M back-to-back.
A&M and Oklahoma State.
And then Oklahoma State. Then came back, and, of course, the throw against Oklahoma, won the Heisman and built the stadium. When we come back, Daniel Amati from Oklahoma State, pregame, postgame, but a hell of a player from Mike Gundy and company. He is next. This is 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
Dion Amati, former Oklahoma State defensive star, team captain, part of the pregame and postgame for Oklahoma State. I contacted our good friend Robert Allen. I said, hey, I need a couple of former players that we have not had on. And Dion, he gave us your name. It's great to have you. How you doing, young man?
Not too bad. Appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, so let's get straight to the point. You know the Oklahoma State program as well as anybody, the success that Mike Gundy has had. So how difficult is it as an alum and someone covering the team, though, to watch what happened the last year?
It was difficult. It was difficult to say the least. I mean, when you've been brought into a program like I have recently in the last decade or so, 2 decades, if you want to add, the years that I was there, you're used to winning. That's the tradition of Oklahoma State football as of recent. And so seeing the team go the way it did, especially with the expectations that it had during the preseason with the returning starting quarterback and, a Doak Walker Award winner, Ollie Gordon, and the guys like Brennan Presley and so many others, and then to see the kind of the injuries that unfold, this is a game of football and injuries are a part of it. And to see that unfold on the defensive side with Colin Oliver and Nick Martin, it kind of hurts your heart and thought, that Oklahoma State would, find a way like they have been these last couple of years of just putting wins on the board. And to see that not take place, it was devastating. But hopefully, as the Cardiac Cowboys do, they bounce back and they put together something that we can be proud of this year in 2025.
Dion, they have new coordinators, some of which are familiar to the program, like Doug Meacham, but they have a new quarterback who's really young. All of these wholesale changes. Mike Gundy strikes me as a guy who doesn't enjoy change all that much, as in backed into a corner. What have you seen from him so far as he deals with a season that he hasn't really had in the past, at least not since the very beginning of his career at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, man. I mean, we're all athletes, creatures of habits, and man, especially the good ones. And Coach Gundy, if you could ask him, I think first and foremost, he's an athlete and he's a quarterback before he's even a coach. So, going through a devastating, season that he did have last year is not, to his liking, to say the least. But here's the thing. As athletes do, now you have doubters. Now you got a couple of haters. Now you got people, doubting what you can do. So as an athlete, as a competitor, as an individual who loves to go out there and compete, I'm sure he's excited to prove a couple of people wrong and get back into that win column and show everybody that Coach Gundy and Oklahoma State is still a big time program in the country and is poised for success.
So, did you ever have somebody doubt you, and what was that like? Tell me, maybe as you were growing up, or at some point that people did not think you could handle the game.
Yeah, Sydney Mentor, my fifth grade girlfriend, she still doesn't think that I can. She never thought, guys, that I could swing the highest in the class. I was on that swing, and I told her I'm the best swinger in the class, and she doubted me. And you know what? Field day, I proved her wrong, and everybody was singing my praises.
What an incredible memory! Yeah. I love that.
We never forget.
Forget. Yeah, I'm sorry, I brought something up.
I would have invited her to a game at Oklahoma State and waited until you made a play.
Hey, remember me?
There we go. It all started with swings.
She saw me on ABC. She saw me on ABC. She knew. I don't know if she knows, but she knows. I don't know what she is right now, but she knows. Deanna Mate, Division I athlete, captain of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Big 12 champion. Yeah. Trust me. She knows. She remembers the swing.
Yeah. During the time of the Big 12, when it started in '96, UT won the first, and we know Oklahoma, they won a bunch of them, as you know, but Oklahoma State has been around, and they've been a part of that. What was that like to win it, to be a Big 12 champion?
Man, it was surreal. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, when we won that Big 12 championship, I was a sophomore. And you got to remember, coming out of Rowlett High School, a team in the biggest classification of Texas high school football, 5A at the time, I was, our high school team was just, fighting to make the playoffs in that Garland Independent School District. So I went from trying to fight every year to make the playoffs in Texas high school football, facing schools like Allen and, Katy and all kinds of the big DeSotos, fighting to, to compete against those guys. And then one day I look up and I'm a freshman at a Big 12 school, and we're fighting for, at one point, a Big 12 championship. And then I look up and I'm going against guys like Blackman and Whedon in practice, guys that are, being talked about on ESPN as the best players at their position. And we're over here fighting for a national championship. I was like, I caught myself at one point at practice as a sophomore, and I was like, and this was before the Texas A&M game. And I was like, man, I have made a major leap in my life where I'm literally fighting and competing with some of my hometown buddies to make it to playoffs in Texas high school football, to now competing with guys, some of the best athletes in the country, to make and win a national championship. It's very, very surreal, and it comes at you full speed, really fast. But at a certain point, you're just a kid out there playing ball, playing the game that you love, and you don't really, think about the big pomp and circumstance. You just think about playing ball and having fun and just competing against the guy in front of you, and even competing against the guy beside you, because we're all fighting to be on that field and, earn the right to say that we were Big 12 champions. Because you don't want to be that guy that was, they look down the roster 20 years from now and be like, you played in like 3 games. You don't want that. So you're fighting to, get on that field and contribute and, have a reason to go down on, go to the bars or go to the house parties that later that evening and, pop your collar a little bit and say, yeah, I did something today.
Dion, given the wholesale change on the roster that Oklahoma State's had, how quickly can fans expect them to gel? And is this something that also, this is where the Gundy magic comes in, is when everybody thinks that he's about to have a down year, or that the ship is sinking. That's when he likes to sneak up and beat people and then show that, like, look, there's a reason I've had this job for 2 decades.
Well, I mean, everybody's kind of got caught wind of that. They're always, you can ask anybody in any office building. I mean, I just left work here a little bit ago here in Tulsa, and everybody, walking through the halls, at the water cooler, in the kitchen, they all know when, the Cowboys are down and Coach Gundy is, everybody's betting against him. That's when they, produce their best work. But this is a different day and age of college football, man. So all these, things that are trends that normally happen, you can't count on those things being happening again. So for the fact of the matter is like, this is an opportunity to prove that we can still do that. It's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be the case. But to answer your question, your first initial question, I went to practice on Sunday and was able to see how these guys are gelling with one another, because that was the thing that I had, hesitations about too. I mean, everybody around the country is trying to put the best team on the field that they can. And to do that, you have to get in the transfer portal and you have to go get the best athletes to win on a Saturday night. So, but here's the thing. When you ask players, especially former players, what's the best part? What's the thing that you miss when you're done playing? Everybody talks about the locker room and being with your guys and hanging out and having that camaraderie. Is that thing still going to be a part of the locker room, or is it just going to be guys in and out throughout, the years, and you don't really have that bond? Well, coaches are trying to cultivate that. I mean, at practice, you hear coaches, I mean, back in the day, me being a former defensive back, we're going at those wide receivers, those diva wide receivers, might I add, too. We were going at those guys, all right? We were competing against them. We were talking trash. And in that situation, you could see the coaching staff knowing that it's a competitive environment, allowing those guys to compete and talk a little bit, but also reminding them, this is your teammate. This is your teammate. Remember, we're still a part of a team. So that's something that I was unfamiliar with, because they used to let us get after it. But now they're letting them get after it, but also reminding them and trying to cultivate this environment, this teamwork, this Cowboy culture, to remind them, hey, you can talk a little trash and have a little fun, but also remember, this is your teammate, and make sure you guys are good and you guys are buddies, because we got to come together faster than we used to.
When you took a visit, I would think you took a visit to Stillwater when you were a young man at a Rowlett, the official visit. What was it like the first time you went to a game in Stillwater with those damn paddles against the wall?
Man, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was growing up, I was a big, Texas Longhorn fan, being out of Dallas. And yes, Colt McCoy would have won that national championship against Alabama if they didn't knock him out of the game. That is very much true, guys. I heard you guys talking about that situation. That's very true. But I remember watching that game on TV and thinking, goodness gracious, why are those guys so close to each other on the sideline? Why is the fan base so close? I remember seeing the paddles and I was like, oh man, those guys are nuts over there. And then witnessing that environment for the first time and seeing 65,000 people go crazy and just the uproar that, and what grabbed me was the ability to, as an individual, affect 65,000 people in Boone Pickens Stadium's emotions, be it if they're cheering for you or rooting against you, having that, in the palm of your hands, your play, your individual play could affect their mood and their emotions in that manner. And just seeing how loud and ruckus it got, bro, I was hooked. I was hooked. And man, those paddle people, I'm not going to lie, they probably saved us a couple of times. Kansas State, 2011. I mean, the rowdiness and the fan base and the uniqueness of that environment in Boone Pickens Stadium, it's not matched in college football. And because of that, we have a competitive advantage, and hopefully we utilize that this year as well.
Diadamati with us. What was the moment when you found out you were named a team captain? Because you had to battle, what was it, an ACL, a knee injury when you were in college, which derailed quite a bit. What was it like, though, when you were told you were going to be a team captain at Oklahoma State?
Well, at Oklahoma State, we do something differently. We don't name the team captains at the beginning of the year. You kind of play throughout the year, and everybody on a week-to-week basis has an opportunity to earn the right to be a captain for the next game by your performance the week before. So when you find out that you're the official captain of that specific team is at the end of the year, at the end of the season, at the banquet before the bowl game. And that, I'm telling you right now, to this day, and guys, I don't have any wife. I don't have a wife. I don't have any kids. That still is the biggest honor that I've been presented with in my life. So just to know that all those guys voted for me and looked up to me and honored me with that, award, because it is an award, because forever, we all know, like, winning, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, that's all well and done. But every senior looks at that situation. They want to be voted captain because you are photographed at the bowl game and then put up in the locker room as the captain for that specific year, and that picture is never taken down. And so you're amongst those greats who have donned the Oklahoma State Cowboy jersey and will be in that locker room forever. So to be honored with that, it was very, very heartwarming, and I really, truly appreciate those guys for, presenting me with that and being able to, say that to this day.
Dion Amati with us, former Oklahoma State captain and defensive back, linebacker, who's a part of the pregame and postgame show.
Two questions for you, Dion. Who in the current iteration of the Big 12 would you have most liked to play when you were at Oklahoma State? And should Bedlam be legally required by law to happen every year?
So who would I want to play against? Who's currently playing right now?
Yeah. Who would you like? Which team? Like which stadium? Like which kind of experience that you being in the Big 12 when it was the regular Big 12 and not what it is now would you have missed out on?
That's an easy answer, Big Dog.
Yeah.
I would have loved to go to Colorado and play in front of Coach Prime. Man, he's my namesake, man. I would have loved to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Make a play in front of Prime Time and shake his hand after the game and just let him know that, hey, bro, I'm sorry that I beat your team, but hey, show me a little love now. With Dion's got to stick together. So I would have loved to, Colorado is a beautiful place, and I'm very much a big traveler. I kind of have a bucket list goal to go to all 50 states. I'm hoping that college football allows me to do that, so I can go see all types of environments and see the country at the same time. So if anybody's hiring, let me know. I mean, I'm willing to talk, and if you're going to pay for my travel, I'll do that too. So
well, they better. They ought to pay you a salary too, because you're a great talker. Now, did you get into the oil and gas business, or is that something you're still a part of?
So I got a accounting and finance degree at at Oklahoma State, and so your boy got to pay the bills. You know how it is, guys. Your boy got to pay the bills. Now, this is definitely my passion. Talking about college football and talking about sports in general, but I mean, I might as well use the degree if I got it. So, so oil and gas accounting is the day job, and then sports broadcasting is the passion.
Is there any connection how you tackled your career in oil and gas with what you do to being an athlete that played college football at the highest level?
Very much so. I mean, bro, numbers don't lie. So at the end of the day, looking at stats and looking at, breaking down the X's and O's, the odds, and putting it on a financial, an Excel spreadsheet will save your life. If any young kids out there right now, if there's anything you want to pick up really quickly, pick up an Excel spreadsheet. You can put any data in there and analyze it to the guys. I'm telling you, I use an Excel spreadsheet for everything. When I'm breaking down plays, when I'm breaking down formations, when I'm breaking down a receiver, I do, high school color analyst work here in the state of Oklahoma. And I tell you, I chart games and I go watch film and I look who's going to be my player to watch. They ask me that every week, and I just chart the plays on an Excel spreadsheet. And I look through and I see what player has has the biggest impact on the game. And I tell you, some of these kids get the notoriety, they get the media clippings, and then you go and you look in your spreadsheet and you analyze these things and you say, well, hold on now. The wide receiver, who's the slot guy, who's, got more third down conversions than the star player, he's the real one making this offense go. He's the real one that keeps this offense on the field. We need to highlight him rather than the guy who's, getting. Now, again, my producer will fight back sometimes, got to get those ratings, but those things come into effect in a major way. You got to be able to break down these things, and it helps you. I also do some real estate investing. And bro, if you just put this stuff on paper and analyze it, I'm a visual learner. I know myself. And I blame that because of football. When they put down, when they're teaching you cover 4, when they're teaching you cover 2, they put that thing on a whiteboard. They put that thing on the chalkboard, and that's how you learn it. So because of that, that's the way I learn. An Excel spreadsheet helps you so much from the accounting standpoint, from a football standpoint, from a business standpoint. You got to see it, and it helps a lot. So I use a lot of it every day.
Dion, we appreciate, first of all, your passion is electric, and your smile and personality is fantastic as well. And I love what you say about the Excel files, and also how you find who might be the all-state candidate or the guy that's got all the stats, or maybe not the one though that is the meat and bones of what a team does. You say you want to get into broadcasting, and obviously I could see why that would work. Was there something about it that was difficult for you in the transition?
Yeah, there was definitely. So here's the thing. As a player, just like I'm talking right now, you gotta, how do I say this in kinder words? Not the whole football fan base and demographic will understand the X's and O's like a specific player will. I mean, I've been, taught by some of the best defensive coordinators and head coaches and defensive backs. I mean, grew up in, Texas high school football. We were raised on this stuff. So I learned it from a very young age, and I can understand the fine points of the game. But I can't be looking at the TV and say they're in a 3-by-1 formation. The quarterback, the two receivers are Twix twin formation. That's a jet sweep motion with an orbit going backside, and they're hitting that A gap. The dad who's played football in middle school, he's not going to know what I'm saying. The mom who's, just watching the game with their boy, she's not going to understand what I'm saying. So trying to simplify the game was the early initial challenge for myself, but I think I've improved from that standpoint. And if you watch my games now, I find ways to simplify the game for the average viewer and don't get me wrong, I'm still slipping in orbit motions and, check zones and all kinds of things, techniques, T-steps with the best of them, but I'm simplifying the game a little bit, and that's, helped me improve from a broadcast perspective.
So what if Oklahoma State doesn't have success this year? What if they don't get a bowl game? What if they struggle again? What's the mentality going to be in Stillwater for a guy that's a legend that has had a great run at Oklahoma State? I don't want to talk about past tense.
Why are you trying to jinx my team, man? why you got to bring up the negative, huh?
Because you know what, as a broadcaster, by God, I have to be honest too. And last year was awful.
Yeah.
And they have been so consistent as anybody else that's ever been a part of the Big 12 since Gundy was there. And it just was shocking.
To answer your question, I mean, I do not think that's going to happen. Just being at practice and witnessing the things that I witnessed and seeing the trajectory of the way college football is going, I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, there's one thing that I'm going to hang my hat on, and this is still Oklahoma State football. This is still Cowboy culture.
Mm-hmm.
We are finely tuned to handle adversity and pressure in ways that, other programs are not. I mean, Coach Glass, who is our strength and conditioning coach, he does a phenomenal job of getting us prepared mentally and physically for what happens out there on that field on Saturdays. There's a reason why he's the best in the business. They call it hashtag body by glass. And you know what? All I want to see from those guys is to fight every Saturday. I don't want, like, if God forbid we have a similar season to last year, as long as these guys go out there and in the fourth quarter, they're out there competing, putting, the pride of Oklahoma State football and Oklahoma State and Cowboy culture on the line, and still fighting to at least hold their head up high, I can live with that. But God, please let us don't let that happen again.
Yeah, I get it. Last thing, Robert Allen. We've known Robert a long time. He obviously bleeds Oklahoma State colors. Fun friend of ours. He's been on the show quite a bit. What's it like working with him among everybody else that you have when it comes to Oklahoma State broadcasts?
Man, you guys know the reference, my OG, right? Y'all understand what that means. That Robert Allen is my OG. That's the guy who's brought me into the first time I was ever on the radio, the first time that I was ever, able to, sit down on a program on a regular basis was with Robert Allen on his show, Robert and Friends. And he's held my hand and taught me so much along the process of learning and growing as a broadcaster, as an analyst, as a sideline reporter. He's helped me tremendously throughout this whole process. I mean, along with Dave Hunziker and John Holcomb and Jeremy Poplin, who's the sideline reporter for Tulsa over here for TU, those guys have helped me tremendously throughout this whole process. But Robert Allen has been the guy who's been not only teaching me, putting me in the best situations and opportunities, and also, one of my biggest cheerleaders. So I can't, do anything without showing appreciation to him. And I'm telling you right now, guys, there's nobody who knows Oklahoma State football like Robert Allen. He is tapped in.
Yep. There is. If I ever have just a random question, that's who I text.
I text him immediately.
Well, yeah, like, hey, who is like the guy who kind of comes out of nowhere and has 100 yards in a game? You're like, who is this guy? And then he's like, oh, well, interesting story. He had his wisdom teeth pulled 3 weeks ago, and just goes on down the list. He knows it all.
Speaking of which, you have the 28 jersey in the background. James Washington was 28 too, wasn't he? He was a hell of a player. Came out of West Texas, a high school football player.
Let me ask you guys a quick question, all right? So say you're a player and you recently finished playing. Do you hope that your number gets passed on to a really, really, really good player? Or do you hope that your number gets passed on to somebody who, kind of sets the sideline a little bit?
Oh, my God.
Which do you prefer? I'm just asking.
That's kind of it's a bit of a Sophie's choice because you're like, I could live, forever as like when they think of 28, I'm 28. Like that's how it is. And then you could also be like, look, the Dallas Cowboys in 88, like that's a fraternity.
Yes.
But
there you go.
Here's what I would want. I think that's the middle ground that I would want. I'm not wanting to compliment Jerry on many things lately, but the fact that he's made the 88 a fraternity, that makes it better for everybody. Because if you wind up having all this great success, then you kind of have, like, the Yankees have all these numbers that people can't wear, right? So you go and you watch a Yankees game, and a guy who's like a 7-time All-Star goes there, and he has to wear like number 43 because he can't wear 7 because that's Mantle. So he's like 4 and 3. I'll take that. That's 7. So I would want and you can't do it with every number, but like if you could make a fraternity number where it's like the only people who get this number are really great, then you're in like a select group. That's what I would want ideally. But man, that's such a tough question, Dion. Golly,
it is.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Tough. Because you got to think about it. On one hand, like if you're really good and somebody wears your number, then they bring you up considerably and they think about you on, every Saturday. But then at a certain point, when that guy, is like a junior and he's been wearing that number since he's a freshman, they ultimately forget about you.
Yeah.
So you're clearly forgotten. I mean, literally, guys, I have to put this jersey back here to remind people that I was the original 28 and that you should still, show me some love. I mean, James, did his thing. I mean, he was the man when he was here, but you gotta respect your OGs, right? Or you gotta respect the OG.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, man, it's been a blast to have you on, Dion. Would you say hi to one of our viewers? His name in the chat room is Wet Blanket. That's his name.
We don't know his real name.
We don't want to know him. We wonder about him sometimes. We have a love-hate relationship, but he's a huge Oklahoma State fan. He's not the only one, but would you say hi to Wet Blanket and make his day?
Hey, Wet Blanket, you see my Twitter handle underneath my screen right now. It's _28. Hit me up whenever you want. And if you see me in Stillwater, say what's up. I'm Wet Blanket because you're the man, bro. Keep these guys in line. You got it.
There we go. Bobby B and everyone else, huge Oklahoma State fans. Thank you, Dion. Have a great day, buddy. Appreciate it.
You guys, too. Appreciate you guys for having me.
All right. There we are. Dion Amati, Oklahoma State team captain, former linebacker and safety, and now a part of the pregame and postgame shows for Oklahoma State football. We're now joined by the Hall of Famer in John McClain, 365 Sports. And John, thank you very much for your time. So we're not that, well, we saw games. There was a game. There was a game on Thursday night. How much do you actually watch preseason football?
I watch zero from any other team, and I have to watch the Texans. And I don't pay because they're not even preseason games anymore, because real preseason, because so many veteran players don't play. They're so paranoid about injuries and the salary cap. And so I pay little attention to it. I read a lot and listen and watch a lot to see reports about somebody playing well. But until they start playing for real, I don't pay too much attention at all. Now, I'm interested in Shadur Sanders. The last time I was interested in a Cleveland rookie quarterback in preseason was Johnny Football. That was, I think, 2013. And there was such a buildup to him in Cleveland, and I'd been up there to do a story on him in preseason, and it was just amazing to me for a guy who wasn't the top pick. And now we have Shadur Sanders, a fifth-round pick, who's gotten more attention than a first-round pick. So I am really interested to see how he does. He's handled everything so well so far. And I thought it was interesting. He told his dad not to come to camp because he didn't want the distraction, and I don't blame him.
John, we'll get back to the NFL in a second, but we haven't had you on since the trade deadline last week, and the Astros completed a flurry of deals. And so did the AL West was actually one of the most fun ones, with the Mariners making big deals. The Rangers made some really good deals. This division is kind of on right now. What did you think about what the Astros did to fill up some of their spots, particularly bringing back old friend Carlos Correa?
Well, the reason Carlos Correa is back here is because Isaac Paredes, their leading home run hitter and leader in runs batted in, was out for the season running to first base with a torn hamstring. And so they had to replace it. And Correa's ego has not gotten the better of him, that he says, I got to play shortstop. He's happy to move to third. He said he'd been thinking about it for 2 years. They get him. They get a guy, Jesus Sanchez, from Miami. And then they get a guy, Arias from Baltimore, who's more of a guy coming off the bench. And then they promptly get humiliated in 3 consecutive games by Alex Bregman and the Red Sox, who've been playing very well. That was bad. I still can't get over them losing 4 consecutive games here to the A's, at the time the worst team in the American League. And so then they went to the Marlins. Since July 2nd, the Marlins are tied for the best record in baseball. And they beat the Marlins, I think, 8-2. And the Marlins look like a last place team with some of the brain dead things they did on the bases and plays in the field. They only had 10,000 people there for a team that has been playing as well as any in baseball. Just a terrible place to play baseball in that stadium in Miami. So the crowd never works against you. They draw more with the Rays, and the A's draw more than the Marlins drew last night. So they won that game. They've got the Mariners and the Rangers nipping at the heels. You guys know Mariners picked up a starting pitcher. The Rangers have picked up 2 power hitters. And I think the Astros are still struggling big time with injuries. They had a guy last night named Jason Alexander, who I thought would pitch about like Jason Alexander would have pitched on Friends if he'd ever played baseball. And the guy pops up and pitches 6 innings and gives up 1 run, and they win. Tonight they get a bullpen game. They get one of their injured starters, Spencer Getty, back Friday. Christian Javier is 1 more minor league start, and he'll be back. And they'll see with the addition of Correa and Sanchez, and they got Jeremy Pena back after a month, and he picked up right where he left off. The big mystery, Yordan Alvarez. All we know is he's swinging like T-ball, hitting off the tee. I don't know if we'll see him all year. If a guy comes back now like these pitchers, this will be like spring training for him. And if you're in a pennant race, you hope maybe in September they'll be what they used to be, and it was certainly Bolstrom. But right now, the Astros are hanging on for dear life with the Mariners and the Rangers just not nipping, biting at their heels.
Yeah, they're more than just nibbling. It's one of those things that they have another 2-8 next 10 games. They could be behind the 8 ball in that division that's all of a sudden tightened up quite a bit. So
best record in the division over the last 10 games, the A's last place.
Isn't that crazy?
7-3.
Swept the Astros, like you said.
Mariners are 5-5. Rangers are 5-5. Angels actually have a winning record too. But the division is not great, but it's sure competitive, and it's going to be a great race.
John, how many teams in the AFC compared to how many teams in what looks like more of a wide open NFC, even though the defending champions are the Eagles, would you say have a legitimate, even though the NFL parity and all that craziness, have a legitimate chance to win a Super Bowl?
Well, in the AFC, Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, I see a lot of teams making the playoffs, but they're not Super Bowl contenders. And I don't think Cincinnati is because of his defense. But 7 or 8 teams every year make the playoffs that didn't the year before. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the NFC, I'm not picking the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl because the only Super Bowl loser to go back in last 30 years was New England once. And in the NFC, I think Detroit is legit. I don't see Minnesota or Green Bay. I think Philadelphia's legit. Washington's legit. The Rams are legit. And that's it. I see 4. I see 4 and I see 3. So I think 7 teams have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. Now, other teams have a good chance to get in the playoffs, but they're lacking severely in something important.
John, why won't Jerry and Stephen Jones call Micah Parsons' agent?
That's the same question David Mulligetta, who lives in Austin, is probably asking. What they're doing is against the rules.
Yep.
You cannot talk to a player instead of his agent. And they are breaking the rules, and the union is not doing anything about it. Of course, the union just got an interim executive director, and the league's not doing anything about it. I cannot believe they're not raising hell about it. And it's blatant violation of the rules. They might get something done if Jerry and Stephen actually talk to David Mulligetta, who's one of the best agents. And wouldn't it be something if Micah Parsons got so frustrated, and I don't buy all the BS about trades, if he just said, you know what, I don't care what you offer me, I'm going to play the last year of my contract, and you're going to have to put the exclusive franchise tag on me where no team can give up 2 number ones and get me next year. and that's going to cost you a lot of money on a 1-year deal. And one of the things in the new collective bargaining agreement, players don't really have, they have options, but what they just do on them every year if they wanted to is franchise him, exclusive franchise tag. Yes, he'd be making 30 and 40 million per year. And then the third one, it would be like 70, and that's NBA money. And then he'd be gone. But in 3 years, what's he going to be worth? You know, what kind of player will he be? I still believe it will get done because Jerry Jones does not lose players over money.
Nope.
Remember when Emmitt Smith held out, missed 2 regular season games, came back and they got what he wanted, came back and they won the Super Bowl. And we think about what Dak Prescott went through, and we think about what CeeDee Lamb went through, and we'll be looking back at some point and see what Micah Parsons went through. Thing is, he's under contract. He's going to play. I thought it'd be done before regular season. Now I'm not so sure.
It seems such a, like, at first I thought this was like a normal Jerry hold in situation. And then to find the details of it, that they just think that they have a deal because Micah told them the parameters that he was looking for, and they felt good about that conversation, makes no sense to me. It's like it's their first day doing it. And I don't like, yeah.
I was going to say, it's like somebody using the Jerry and normal in the same sentence, like you just did.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I guess the run of the mill, the classic Jerry, like, oh, deadlines make deals. That's why we do this. And they're not even close to a deadline with Micah in their own mind, because the deadline for them is free agency.
I think he likes it. And I think he likes it. I think he likes the drama, and I think he likes the attention. Why would Jerry Jones be doing 2 things with the media per week when 99% of other owners do 0? They leave it up to the general manager, and the head coach. But if he didn't like the attention and the drama, he wouldn't be doing it. I feel bad for Brian Schottenheimer. He's waited all this time for an opportunity to be head coach. Nobody's given him one except Jerry. And the last thing you need are distractions. And no matter what they say, Micah Parsons is a humongous distraction.
No, he is, and he's got a little bit of that overly sensitive type personality that he could go one way or the other. But you're right; they've never they've had players eventually where they had to let him go. DeMarcus Ware, Emmitt Smith, among others, but he doesn't lose somebody he wants to keep.
Absolutely,
DeMarco Murray was one that ended up leaving, but that came down to the point they just felt like they couldn't do that. But there's no way. First of all, I would love to see it happen just so the next time they have a holdout, we won't sit there and go, my God. I said this like last week when all that went down, John, and Craig looked at me like, but I think Jerry, I hope this doesn't, this is like porn to him. He loves this. He loves the fact that everybody's talking about the Cowboys, Jerry, and Micah Parsons, and oh my God, what's going to happen when in the end, like you say, it's all about the money, and he's going to end up at a press conference. They're going to hug and shake hands, and everything was fine, and that's going to make me want to throw up.
Well, your son would not have any idea what it's like to watch porn, so you'll have to ask Paul, because we know Paul does, and see if that analogy is a good one.
Oh my God!
Listen, John, I'm married now.
So
listen.
So am I.
Listen. Watched.
Oh,
I mean, like, at least give me the past tense.
Oh, yeah. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. John, thank you very, very much, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Pick 'em Bears.
Got quiet there. That Garrett cut him off. I thought Garrett neutered him right there. Well, that's not the right word to use either after what you and Paul were talking about. My God. Brandon Rowe, is it today day 3? No, it's only it's day 2 with Brandon. He looks like kind of cocky over there.
Here's the thing. He's going to pick this up fast. What we did not anticipate was how fast that the opening segment moves for somebody who hasn't done it before when it comes to graphics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And also dealing with your brain.
But the good news is he could go nowhere but up.
Oh no, yeah, I know. So
just an absolute flailing debut.
I think when they teach these things in college, the professor is a nice, normal person who's like, all right, well, this is what happens when you put up this Chiron. And then like they'll read the story and do
Chiron.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. That's a word.
But like this is what happens when they do this, and what happens to do this. And then they don't account for the fact that there might be people whose brains don't stop at all, and they're just going, hey, put this one up. Hey, you know the one that's 7th on the list is now 2nd, and the one that's 2nd is now 12th, and the one that's 12th is now 5th.
And by the way, multiply it by 0.37 now.
So Garrett is well adjusted at all that.
I don't know if he's well adjusted.
He's well adjusted. Well, I mean, he's further along than anybody.
His head shakes a lot.
Yeah.
Like remember Jason Behringer's?
Yeah.
Yeah. But not quite like Jason.
Garrett's is more, I think he just worries.
Well, we know he does a lot of things.
Yeah. But Brandon, I think he just thought that it would be like a normal, like if you go to a news station and you start, working as a producer on the news, they're like, okay, there was a fire at the grain silos.
Roll tape.
Yeah, roll tape. And then that happens. And it's like tragic news tonight out of Baltimore as all the puppies are dead.
And here's Evelyn Smith.
And then it goes this and like, hey,
not the puppies
here comes Dan with the weather. Dan, heard it's going to be cold today.
You have to do that 8 times in television these days.
All that.
8 cut-ins with weather. But 8. It's 97 every day for the next month. 8 cut-ins.
At no point will the weatherman be like, you know what? Change up the map.
Yeah.
Go the 4th map first. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
He's just going to be like, we got some pressure coming up out of the south. Right.
Garrett went straight to Corey with an email demanding more money. He had all the leverage at that particular time. All right. When we come back, Paul Catalina and his top 5. And also we'll have Andrew Valade's poll results. Appreciate your time. We're not done. This is 365 Sports and Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store off Lake Air Drive in Waco. I've known Brian Bauer and the family. His dad and grandfather opened up the meats business. I have been when they have 2 stores. They have one that's like the distribution where all the meat comes in, where it's the butchering shop and more. And then down the road, they created a beautiful place, like a grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. The specials this week, all the way through the close of business on Saturday: choice ribeye steaks at $18.50 a pound. They have king crab at $32 a pound and snow crab at $11.50 a pound. I went by there the other day and I got some salmon fillets, and I think it was 4 ribeyes, big thick ribeyes, and they're always good. The picture that's on their Facebook page makes you want to just eat the picture, but eat the bread instead. Eat the meat instead. Butcher shop with pork, poultry, seafood, and, of course, beef. The best. Brian Bauer and the Bauer family at Waco Custom Marketplace, Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina's Top 5. Paul Catalina here, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports. They've got some great gear there. Shirts, golf stuff, T-shirts. Like, they've got it all. Just go check it out. I promise you'll like it. We're going to go through Paul's Top 25. I'm sorry to keep referring to myself in the third person. It's annoying. I'll stop. But today, numbers 25 through 21. And this will probably not be without controversy. There are some teams that I decided not to rank at all that are in the coaches poll. And there are some teams that were not ranked at all in the coaches poll that are in this. And one of them probably way higher than anybody else put them. Number 25, Jeff Brom in Louisville. This is, of course, from his playing days with the Cardinals. But I like what they've got going on there. He's a real offensive guru. They should be a little bit better on defense this year. Miller Moss, I think, will fit the system really well. If he got a lot out of Jack Plummer, and you saw what he got out of Tyler Shuck last year, he can get a lot out of Miller Moss. He is a really good transfer quarterback rehabilitator. He is to transfer quarterbacks what Nick Saban is to head coaches. Yeah, I said it. Jeff Brom is that good at that. And I think Louisville being left out of the coaches poll was a little bit of an oversight. Number 24, Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss will be a good team. I do not think Ole Miss will be a great team. They lost their top quarterback, their top receiver, their top running back, a bunch of their top defensive linemen, all gone. This is going to be a bit of a reloading year for the portal king, Lane Kiffin. While I still think they'll be good, I don't think they're going to be at the very tip top of the SEC. Number 23, Boise State. Look, even though Ashton Genty's gone, Spencer Danielson has a really good program there. He's going to keep it rolling. I would like to rank them higher, but I need to see what the offense is sans Ashton Genty before I put them into the teens. Number 22, Indiana. Look, they had a fantastic year last year, but now they're sneaking up on no one. And the schedule flips a little bit. I do like getting Francisco Mendoza at quarterback. I think that'll be a boon for them. He's an upgrade at that position, but the secret's out on Kurt Cignetti. He's a very good coach and should have them ready to go, but I'm not ready to put them up in the teens or the top 10 just yet. And number 21, Texas A&M. This is a team I think could rise with a bullet if things start to go their way. I like the additions they made in the offseason, but let's face it, they're Texas A&M. They are artistes in the milieu of disappointment. So until they're not 8-4, I've got to keep them right here. But I do think good things are in store for Mike Elko and Texas A&M. Marcel Reed, I think you'll see some interesting stuff from this year, especially with the additions of KC Concepcion at wide receiver and Mario Craver. Well, that's going to do it for this top 5. Smokey has some polls.
We are back. Andrew Valade with poll results. Thank you, Paul, with the top 5. 365 Sports to crack open the poll results. What are your thoughts on the Major League Baseball Speedway Classic? Was this in Bristol?
Yeah.
And we discussed that a little bit yesterday. They had the weather was an issue, whatever. Loved it. Let's do more of it. Dead last. Not a fan at all. First. And then fun, novelty game, okay. And then cool, but needs work. No question, it needs work.
I think it needs a little work, but
they're gonna. Could they? You know how big the Texas Motor Speedway is? It's a monster. I think you could fit 3 of Ohio State stadiums inside of their stadium, and I can't imagine it would not look like a T-ball game if you did it there.
But Bristol Speedways, they're all huge.
They're all huge.
Long tracks. They got to go around them, 200 times to finish the 400 and 500 mile races they have. So I like these. I like that they're trying to, like, Major League Baseball needs to branch out. Like, the traditional way of doing everything has passed it by.
Yeah. You got to do something new. And the question is, what is the game that's been played at Yankee Stadium? Hasn't there been a college football game played in the baseball stadium?
It's the same. Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's that one. I don't mind them doing what they're doing. First of all, it doesn't matter to me, and they don't care what I have to say. I don't mind that. There's just some things that, to me, just play the damn game wherever you're supposed to. In a world where Micah Parsons gets what he wants, which is money, where do you see him landing next if, in fact, this ever gets to a point where Micah Parsons actually is traded? He will not be traded. I'm not going to bet a body part because I don't have many left in the first place, but this will all work itself out sometime between now and the opening week of the season. But they need to get his ass in camp, not just as a player who's walking around working out. They need to get him, because if they don't, then they're going to sign him and he's going to be hurt by week number 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's at least there and he's at least done the offseason program.
Do you know he can also not be there and not get fined because it's his rookie contract?
Yeah,
so why?
This
is why distraction.
This is why this is such a unique thing when it comes to these holdouts with the Cowboys. I actually don't think it'd be any of these teams, to be quite honest with you. The Bills probably make the most sense because they're trying to you might get them in desperation. What gets us over the line? What can get Patrick Mahomes, a pass rusher like Micah Parsons? They tried it with Von Miller. He's not there anymore, and he's moved on to another. He's kind of a hired gun now. So what is that? Maybe it's that. I think whoever traded for Micah Parsons would be completely out of the blue. It would not be a team you would expect. It would be like the Falcons or something.
And again, what Craig said, if you're that team, you're going to have to give up collateral, players, draft picks, and then you got to pay them. It's a huge.
There's almost
huge
no
investment.
value you could.
Buffalo 40%. I mean, they're really good, but again, they got a running back. Is Cook also in one of those hold-in patterns himself? The running back. Yeah. That's what they call it now. It's not a holdout; it's a hold-in.
Well, if you show up, then you're
no matter what. So Jerry, I do know this over the weekend. They were talking. He was talking to the media. He was getting frustrated. Todd Archer was just popping him, left peppering him, and Jerry started to get again. And then the other thing is that he took a little pot shot or two.
Des Bryant. You took one at Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Too?
But he's taken a few little pot shots and as CeeDee Lamb said last week, you do not want to get into one of these media showdowns with Jerry. And this one here, he'll end up with the Cowboys. He'll end up or franchise tag him, whatever. Gary, thank you very, very much for running the mothership with your San Antonio Spurs hat on. Andrew Valade, jiu-jitsu with the poles, but also slamming stuff up and wherever it goes. Sometimes we never know, but it's there for people to digest it. And then Brandon Rowe, coming off rehab from yesterday, is back in this. No, really, Brandon, we love you. We really do believe in you. Don't you, Paul?
More than you.
No, more than me. Corey is here, our owner. Dickman is here in the studio from Rogue Media Network. For Paul Catalina, Craig out until Monday. I'm David Smoak. Thanks for Tim Brando tomorrow. And this is 365 Sports. Good night.